Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday night. We are continuing to progress with our days here, so finally we are starting to get some better data. We've had a lot of uncertainty on the last few days, and still some uncertainty exists on the severe threats, but now Friday's threat has become a lot more clear. Saturday is still a little blurry, and then Sunday, of course, is still going to be very blurry. So definitely going to be talking a lot about Saturday and Sunday, or rather Friday and Saturday in this live stream. We also have a severe watch, as you can see in the background. Let's see what we have in here in today's stream. I'm actually going to have to use my other chat, because this one's not going to go up enough. I don't even think this is everyone in here. Oversteer, Rockets, Severe Weather Alert, Sam, Weather Warrior, Caden, Garrison, Indiana Phoenix, Connor, let's see, Jessica Palmer, glad to see you in here again. Pete, Legacy, Caleb, Ben, Sage, Siege as well. Let's see, go down a little bit more. Randall, Jaden, JD, Oversteer, if I missed you, welcome to the stream. Grumpy, PayPal me, as well as How Close Are We, Tanks. I think I'll be here for a while. We are 3 minutes in, and there's already over 100 people in this stream. That has gotta be a record right there. That is absolutely insane. I'm glad to see you guys all in here. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to welcome all you guys because there's so many of you. Just welcome everybody to another stream. Glad to see you here, as well as everyone else I missed. I know I missed quite a few people. I apologize. Just a lot of people in here today. A lot of people wanting to know what's going to happen with this upcoming system. It's going to impact possibly, I mean, what, like 50 million people or so? I mean, it's absurd how many people this system's going to impact here. We've got 15 million today, 5 million tomorrow. Gracious day. That is 60 million on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. That's like right near 60 million. Let's see, we got 40, 50, about 64 million people in the risk on Friday. And then Saturday doesn't even have a marginal risk just yet because it's still on the day 4 outlook, and that already includes well over 50 million people. So we are looking at, I mean, 100+ million people under the gun for severe weather. Now, of course, that's some duplicates as well. You know, some people who see severe weather today are going to see severe weather as we go into Friday. Some people who see severe weather Friday may see severe weather Saturday as well. So it's not technically 100 million people, but just if you add up all the populations across our next what, 5 days of, oh, I forgot the East Coast. My bad. We got an additional almost 45 million on the East Coast under the gun on Sunday too. So I mean, we are 150 plus million under the gun for severe weather with this upcoming threat for severe weather. I mean, geez, that's like what, half the population of the U.S. pretty much right there, a little under half the population. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So yeah, we actually just got our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day out here in Texas. We did have a Tor possible severe for the city of San Francisco. It looks like they still have a severe off to the south that is Tor possible there for any mesovortex that may be able to spin up along this little tiny Boeing segment here. That's going towards, is that like San Jose is how you say that? I'm not too sure how to say that, but I know it's pronounced differently than what I'm thinking of. If we look down here, you can see we do have a new severe storm in this area for Blooming Grove. Our storm chaser, Connor Croft, is out there today. He's made the trip from freaking northwestern Indiana all the way down to Texas to be there for some hailers today. He's going to chase Friday. He's going to chase Saturday. He may chase Sunday. Not a lot of people end up chasing the eastern U.S., so it wouldn't surprise me if he just opts out on Sunday's chase. It's probably not going to be worth him chasing it, to be honest with you. But he'll be live in a couple minutes, probably within the next, I'd say within the next 30 minutes or so. He's delaying his stream a little bit because there's not a whole lot happening at the moment. Alrighty, let's get into your SPC outlooks really quick here. Before I do that, though, I want to really quick say thank you to Jessica for the $10 sticker. That is greatly appreciated. Glad to have you back on in here. Hopefully you're doing well. And thank you once again for that $10 sticker. That's greatly appreciated. I'm not too sure what YouTube's on about. Oh, it's your 10th super chat. I thought it was saying the 10th super chat of this live stream. So Jessica, that's your 10th super chat on this channel. Thank you for the support. That's really appreciated. Alrighty, so for today, we've got a slight risk for severe weather across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. The main threat will be the potential for between 2 to 2.5 inch hail being a possibility. We could see a spin-up tornado as well. They've just kept a very large 2%. They've not upgraded to a 5% because it seems like these storms will be on the elevated side of things. Damaging winds of 60 to up to 70 miles per hour will be possible. And then that large hail of around 2.5 to 2.75 inch hail will be a possibility today as well. Jessica, that means you've donated 10 times throughout this channel's history. So you've donated 10 times to this channel. That's really appreciated. So yeah, we could see some hailers. That's very obvious with our current storm that is mainly warned for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, no Tor possible. I really don't see much of a tornado threat today. I think the tornado threat as a whole has downtrended for this event over the last 48 hours. It doesn't look that good anymore. Also note, if you are just behind this line now, so for instance, if you are in Denton, Fort Worth, Dallas is still on that line, but generally, we'll say if you're west of Dallas, you're really clear from severe weather now. So if you are in Fort Worth, Denton, Waco, you guys are already clear from severe weather as that cold front's pushing through already. I don't think that front's past Dallas, so Dallas could still see some rain if a storm fires now. But I don't think it will be a substantial threat for severe weather by any means. However, of course, overall, our threat for severe weather is significant for today. Tomorrow will be our most inactive day out of the next 5 or so days. We've got a very large marginal risk, level 1 out of 5 for severe weather across portions of Alabama, northeastern Mississippi, and southwest west central Georgia. This will be the possibility for a brief spin-up tornado. The main threat will be damaging winds around 50 to 60 miles per hour being possible. Some very small hail as large as an inch in diameter will also be possible. Not that notable of a threat. Then we get into the big boy threat. Look at the comparison here. This is tomorrow's threat for severe weather, that marginal risk. You ready for this? I have to zoom out. Boom. Huge risk for severe weather. That level 1 threat extends from north central Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, through South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, all the way down to the Gulf coastline. That marginal risk expands about 1,100 miles from north to south, with its width here being as large as, or rather as wide as, about 700 miles from west to east for that level 1 threat. So that is a absolutely huge risk for severe weather there. A lot of people will be seeing severe weather out of this. Just in this day alone, just Friday alone, we have about 63, 64 million people under the gun for severe weather just on the day of Friday. Since we are getting closer, we can now look at their overall probability outlook. We can't go in depth with their probabilities for tornadoes, hail, or wind, but you can still see the general area where we are expecting significant severe weather. So they've outlined a large, significant enhanced risk for severe weather. That's for the opportunity of a widespread, significant QLCS to make its way through specifically portions of Missouri into Illinois and western Kentucky. Multiple events of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds will be possible. Isolated amounts could approach 80, and we will not be able to rule out some wind events as high as 90 miles per hour going into Friday. I think the main area under the gun, I don't know if Lucy's in here just yet, but she is just to the south of St. Louis. This is really trended towards a big wind bag over St. Louis. I think St. Louis is going to end up with the biggest threat for significant severe weather in terms of damaging winds. I do think we could also see a upgrade to a moderate risk either on the day 2 or sometime on the day 1 outlook for severe weather as confidence increases on that greatest opportunity for the potential of, up to 90 mile per hour winds. We are definitely going to have the opportunity for a derecho going into Friday as well. We could potentially see a derecho track from all the way in southwestern Missouri all the way into central and eastern Indiana throughout the entire day, starting Friday around noon and then lasting through all of Friday, through most of Friday night into Saturday morning, and then weakening as we get into Saturday towards like the 10 a.m. time frame. So we are definitely at the possibility of a derecho. The main thing that will probably has the chance for this not to be a derecho is the fact that we might not see 60 mile an hour winds or greater throughout 240 miles of an entire area. It depends exactly where that forms. If it forms in, like, say, if it forms west of Jefferson City and then begins to die out in central, kind of like southwest, west central Illinois, that's like 210 miles. So that wouldn't actually hit classification of a derecho. So what I'm trying to say is we will either be at derecho criteria or barely below derecho criteria for Friday. Regardless, it is going to be a widespread, extremely impactful, and very significant damaging wind event going through your Friday afternoon, evening, and overnight hours across much of the Midwestern United States. They have extended that enhanced risk for the potential of significant tornadoes in the very early morning hours before the 7 a.m. Central time frame out here in Mississippi and Alabama. So if you are in that area, you have the chance for significant overnight tornadoes. I'm not sure if they're going to continue that. We have had some downtrends overnight and into today that actually would result in less of a severe threat in this area overnight. Unfortunately, don't get too caught up in that. An overnight threat for severe weather downtrending is always a good thing in terms of not seeing severe weather on that day. However, our threat doesn't end here. If we do not see a lot of convection Saturday morning, we are going to have an extremely high-end severe weather event, probably one of the highest end events we've seen in the last few years across portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Louisiana. The main thing that could prevent this is overnight convection Friday night into Saturday morning. If we do not see that, we are looking at a very high-end, probably high-risk caliber threat for severe weather in Mississippi and Alabama as well as Georgia. So even though that overnight convection Friday night into Saturday morning, it may cause a few tornadoes. If we do see that, it will decrease the threat for severe weather most likely on Saturday. Regardless, we are going to see significant severe weather Friday and Saturday. It does not matter what trends we see. We are going to see significant tornadoes both on Friday and Saturday. It's just if Friday has less convection on the southern end, that's going to I can't English, result in a more substantial threat for Saturday. And it's not just me saying this. I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm trying to give you the actual caliber risk for severe weather here. We're not dealing with a small threat for severe weather. It is common to see severe weather in March. Even high risks for severe weather in March aren't extremely unheard of. The last one, if I'm not mistaken, was in 2022. So it's not extremely uncommon to see a high risk in March for Dixie Alley, but it is still quite rare. You know, it's probably just guessing, random guess. I'd say probably once every 2 years or so. 2023, thank you. You're right. 2023 did have it. Never mind that double barrel high risk. We had a high risk in northern Mississippi. Thank you for correcting me. So we probably get a high risk in March about every other year in Dixie Alley. And that's crazy because now to think of it, we didn't have one in last year, did we? Our only high risk was in Oklahoma. So if we go by that, because we had a high risk in 2021, 2022, then we had a high risk in 2023. We had 3 years in a row with high risks, I believe, in March or very early April. And we didn't have one in 2024, despite 2024 being a very active year for severe weather. I think Dixie Alley was below average. And 2025, we have an opportunity for it. I'm not going to say that we will see a high risk for severe weather because that's way too far out to say. I'm for sure we had one in 2022, right, Caden? Was March 22nd not a high risk? 2022, March 22nd. Oh, shoot, it wasn't a high risk. Well, dang, I'm off. I'm off today. I apologize, y'all. I'm getting my facts wrong on the outlook. So we had one in 2021, not one in 22, one in 23, not one in 24, and one in 20, well, maybe one in 25. We'll see. We'll see about that. So it's literally every other year. It's legit every other year since 2021. We've had a high risk in Dixie Alley in March. March 22nd was a day 3 moderate risk. That's what I got confused. We had a day 3 moderate risk in March of 22, and it did not end up getting upgraded to a high risk. So that shows you how, even if you have a very rare, very, very rare moderate risk on day 3, it doesn't necessarily mean you will have a high risk by day 1. It doesn't mean that necessarily. However, if you didn't know, actually, it's from what I've seen, I believe it's more, I believe it's more rare to see a day 3 moderate than a day 1 high. I'm pretty sure high risks are more common than day 3 moderates. From what I saw, at least on IEM bot. I think we've only had 18 day 3 moderates. And I know we've had around that. Well, I think we've had more than that. I'm very confident we've had more than that. See if Google can tell me right off the bat. 34 high risks. So yes, a day 3 moderate is significantly more rare than a high risk. It is way more rare. We've had 34 high risks with 18 moderates on the day 3 outlook. So a day 3 moderate is a lot more rare. And that's because there's not a lot of events that you have moderate to possibly high confidence for severe weather 48 hours out. That's not too common. It's definitely not impossible. Like I said, we've had 18 day 3 moderates, but it's not something that you're going to see very often. They're just as rare as a high risk. You may get one day 3 moderate as well as one high risk per year. Sometimes not even that. Okay, let's go and look at that again. So this was on Saturday. This was on Saturday here. So we've got that slight risk all the way up into Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. Don't know why I forgot that state. I literally was halfway through it when I just forgot it. So yeah, Indiana as well. We also have the slight risk going down to the Louisiana Gulf Coast line here. They did expand that enhanced risk, I believe, in some directions. I think to the southeast and maybe to the southwest. They expanded this in the enhanced risk today for day 4, which is Saturday. And that slight risk, I'm right there. I'm going to be in probably a very early morning threat for severe weather going into Sunday. And here is Sunday. I am well inside that slight risk for severe weather on Sunday. I do think this has a chance to go enhanced risk for winds. I don't think Sunday will be nearly as notable as Friday or Saturday. Sunday will end up probably being our low wind threat for severe weather compared to those 2 days. Even though it is a day 5 slight risk with almost 45 million people inside of it, it's probably going to end up being one of our lower end threats compared to Saturday and Friday's risk as well. All right, so just once again here, going through our main days for severe weather. This is on Friday. We've got that marginal risk level 1, slight risk level 2, enhanced risk level 3. And again, I would not be shocked whatsoever to see a moderate risk introduced somewhere very close to, if not right on top of the St. Louis metro area. East central Missouri, southwestern Illinois, I think could be included inside of a moderate risk for wind. I don't think they'll end up doing that on day 2 unless confidence increases significantly. But we could end up with a day 1 moderate risk for wind. I don't believe it would be for tornadoes on Friday. However, we could still end up with some significant tornadoes on Friday, even if we don't see that moderate risk for tornadoes. And into Sunday, rather Saturday, mixing up my days again, into I said Sunday again. Gracious day. Oh my goodness. Saturday into Saturday. We have that enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 already in place with that slight risk around that. So we already have an enhanced risk for severe weather here on your day 4 outlook. That is pretty rare. It's not common. It's not uncommon. It's quite rare to see day 4 enhanced risks. I'm pretty sure you end up with at least 1 per year, at minimum 1 per year. We've already seen like 3 or 4 this year. It's been crazy because this was a day 4 enhanced. This was a day 4 enhanced, and if I'm not mistaken, March 4th was a day 4 enhanced. And then we might have had one sometime in January, but we've at least had 3 day 4 enhanced risks. So they're not very rare, and they're not common. Right in the middle. But I do think, like I mentioned before, I think this will be upgraded to a moderate risk for severe weather. Exactly where, it's very difficult to say. I'm really thinking probably kind of southeastern Mississippi into central Alabama for the greatest threat of a moderate risk for severe weather, because that's where you're going to see the potential for some confluence bands to push up to the north, set up over that open warm sector. Your cold front's going to be back out in here. You could see some relatively embedded or semi-discrete supercells along the line. So I just really think that we're probably going to end up with the best threat kind of in the center of this enhanced risk for severe weather, generally in that area, generally from south central Mississippi all the way up into east central Alabama. That would most likely be for tornadoes. Most likely we would end up with a moderate risk for tornadoes. I'm not sure if they'll do that on day 3 because I'm not sure what the SPC thinks confidence looks like. In my opinion, I'm very confident in the chance for a widespread significant tornado outbreak. More depends what you define as regional and widespread. This is a pretty widespread area in my book. 18 million people. That's quite widespread in my book. So I think we have the chance for a widespread significant tornado outbreak here on day 4, which is Saturday. It's, in my opinion, most of it's going to come down to the convection that we may or may not see Friday night into Saturday morning. Like I said, if we see that convection, it's going to pose a strong tornado threat. If we don't see that convection, Saturday is going to be substantially more high end. So it's bad both ways, right? It's bad both ways. Either we end up with nocturnal strong tornadoes Friday night into Saturday morning across Dixie Alley, or Saturday ends up being a very significant threat for all hazards, including long track strong to intense tornadoes. To give you an idea of what this may look like, we finally have a cam model. Finally, we have a cam model. The NAM 3K 18Z finished rendering in, and that goes all the way out till, I believe, very early Saturday morning. Yes, it goes out till about 1 a.m. Central Time Saturday morning. So we finally have a cam model. Before I show y'all that, I really quick want to check the RAP 21Z. How far in is that? Because that is also an accurate model run. Okay, that's going to go into Friday. Some of Friday. How far, though? So 3 more hours. That goes out 51. It should go out till, if I'm not mistaken, 0Z Friday night / Saturday morning. Which would be 8, well, Central Time, 7 p.m. Central Time Friday. So I think the wrap's going to reach to 7 p.m. Central Time Friday. All right, let's give you an idea of what we could see. So the NAM's already wrong. Alrighty, there you go. So it's already wrong because we have storms that are already severe in this area in Texas, and it doesn't show any convection. So it's already wrong. Look at that. But we're gonna see an area for the potential of severe weather today inside that big yellow area you see. That's your severe thunderstorm watch. The main threat by a milestone will be hail as well as damaging winds. Can't fully rule out a spin-up tornado, but that tornado threat is very, very low. It is a 2%. Going into 4 a.m. Thursday, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m. Not much. Our best chance for a tornado tomorrow will be with any storms that can fire between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's noon and 3 p.m. Central in southeastern Alabama. I don't think that will be a notable threat. We probably won't end up live streaming that threat. We'll be live at 6 p.m. per usual tomorrow. To brief you guys on, of course, Friday and Saturday, as well as Sunday, but it won't end up being a coverage stream. Then here, as we go into, let's see here. Then as we go on into Friday, which is the 14th, look at this, the 14th, you can see we're getting quite rapid moisture return from the Gulf here. Quite rapid moisture return. I believe the NAM 3K is one of the most aggressive model runs with moisture return. Jeez! Since when did this uptrend so much? So, on the NAM 3K, for some reason, you've got a huge 60-degree dew point open warm sector here. That is crazy with those 70-degree dew points into Louisiana and Mississippi. I had no idea it was uptrending that much. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue with our main threat. So, yeah, these storms will begin to fire towards 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Central, right around there. Storms will rapidly develop along a dry line out here in Oklahoma, Kansas, as well as it will mix in a dry line cold front. It will be a standing still dry line. The cold front will hit it. It will ignite those thunderstorms to fire. And then you can see by 4 p.m. Central, we've got a line of likely significant severe weather already happening on the NAM 3K, quite significantly sooner than most model runs. There is also the chance for a conditional tornado threat up here. I don't know if it's a cold core setup. I didn't look at soundings or anything, but we will have the opportunity for a spin-up tornado in southeast Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, southwest Missouri, southwest Iowa, northwest Missouri there. We'll have that chance for a spin-up tornado. I don't think it will be significant. Going into, wow, that's crazy, 5 p.m. Central. 5 p.m. Central, that line rapidly intensifies as it hits a significantly more favorable environment for all hazards, and it just continues to rapidly intensify. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Central, still rapidly intensifying. Now, this is where our question mark comes in. You see these? These are semi-discrete supercells forming on your cold front dry line since you have a lack of forcing. That's where we will have the opportunity for our greatest significant tornado threat on Friday. If we can manage to see those supercells become robust, I personally am just straight up not sure. I do not know if these are going to be able to robustly form and end up producing strong tornadoes. But if we do see a strong long track tornado Friday, it would come from one of these because they will end up being more semi-discrete to discrete in northeastern Arkansas, southeast Missouri, western Tennessee, southwest Kentucky, southern Illinois. The greatest wind threat by a milestone and a half will be from south central Iowa all the way through Missouri into north central Arkansas. A widespread area of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds possible. Derecho will be moving through portions of Missouri by the time we get to 7 p.m. Central. We could have isolated wind gusts as high as 80 to 90 miles per hour, especially as this line nears St. Louis towards the 8-9 p.m. Central time frame. And you can see some semi-discrete prefrontal cells. They are quite clustered on this mode, though, or on this model run in particular. They are a little bit more clustered, but still, that would be where your greatest long-tracked, strong tornado threat would be on Friday. 9 p.m. Central, we continue to see those supercells attempt to mature along the southern edge of your cold front dry line. Again, that is where I think we will have the greatest threat for significant tornadoes. That's where I'm going to keep an eye on the most for our strong tornado threat going into Friday here. 10 p.m. Central, that continues to move off to the east. Things should begin to slowly, not rapidly, but slowly begin to decrease in intensity after the 10 p.m. Central time frame. We'll start to see some storms start to weaken. Still looking at widespread 60, 70 mile per hour winds, as high as 80 mile per hour winds in central Illinois. That continues into midnight Central time. And then look at this. This is actually something here. Midnight Central, your line breaks up. This might be an intermediate chance for a bit more of a widespread tornado threat. Yeah, you can see we've got good tornado ingredients from southwestern Indiana all the way through Mississippi. So when that line breaks up, because your forcing is starting to be misplaced, your low pressure is up here, that cold front is starting to get away from your primary low pressure. It's not nearly as compact, not nearly as tight. If we go back here, if this will load, I'll show you what I'm trying to say here. See here, in this case, your low is right here. Cold front, boom, right there, right? It's right next to your low pressure. Whereas if we go into the later hours, your low pressure is beginning to move up here, northeastward. This line / cold front is still moving east-southeast like this. So there may be that intermediate time frame around midnight, 1 a.m. Central, where we could have a chance for a few spin-up tornadoes, maybe an isolated strong tornado threat going into the overnight hours of Friday, very early Saturday morning. And that is the reason for, if we check here, that is the reason why they have expanded that enhanced risk further to the east and to the south as well, for that opportunity of significant tornadoes into the dead of night here, midnight Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern. And then as we get towards 2, 3 a.m. Eastern, that line will begin to weaken as the ingredients begin to rapidly decrease, thanks to no daytime heating, obviously, in the middle of the night. So not as good of a tornado threat after or right around that 0708Z 2, 3 a.m. Eastern time frame across this area. Still could see some spin-up tornadoes, but most likely with that peak nocturnal threat for tornadoes, it will be right as that line starts to break up. Let me go over here. We have over 190 people watching and 76 likes. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. We're going to be discussing this threat for severe weather for the next at least hour and a half, and we are now over 200 viewers for the first time in a couple months. We have not been at or above 200 viewers, so I greatly appreciate that. Yesterday, we got to like 195. Today we got over 200, so I really appreciate that. We will also be live for most of this threat for severe weather Friday and Saturday, so if you want to subscribe with the notification bell set to all, that will be greatly appreciated. You know, we'll be live for you guys here. And if you don't want to subscribe or don't want to watch me for coverage, all I ask is that you please make sure you're weather aware. As long as you're watching somebody who you trust and who's accurate, just make sure you're watching someone. Make sure you're watching somebody on this threat for severe weather, so that way you are weather aware. It does not have to be me. I would be perfectly fine if you went to other YouTubers or other media sources to get information. Just make sure you're weather aware. That's the important thing. All right, and that's where our NAM model ends. Unfortunately, our NAM 3K does not go out any further. And this is what could end up being a big issue here. The NAM 3K does not have any notable convection. It is widespread light rain showers, but that would not be enough to significantly disrupt the instability in this area. If we look here at instability, keep in mind, this is overnight. This is overnight. This is 2 a.m. Eastern time in the morning hours of Saturday. And we have almost 1,500 instability here. Oh, we do have 1,500. You see that? There you go. And we do have 1,500 instability. So that does not affect the environment whatsoever. You still have a huge warm sector in the middle of the night. And this would translate to a better and more intense warm sector into Saturday if this scenario were to play out. The only model run that I see that does not have that scenario is the NAM. Unfortunately, we don't have the greatest resolution of the NAM, or rather the Euro, I apologize. The Euro is the only one that doesn't have that scenario happening, and it doesn't want to load in on Radar Omega. So the Euro's the only one that has that large area of convection, which I'll show you what that would look like. We'll just use the NAM and I'll just draw it out. So generally the Euro, we're using the NAM model as an example because the Euro doesn't want to load. And it looks like the NAM doesn't either. Great radar software you have here, Radar Omega. So yeah, basically this, you can see this has just a large area of light rain showers. Whereas the Euro has this whole area just having a significant amount of precipitation Saturday morning. And if that does happen, then that would significantly hurt the threat for severe weather. We would end up with a lower threat for severe weather on Saturday. However, even if we have that scenario with a large band of very heavy precipitation Saturday morning across most of our warm sector, we will still end up with the risk for strong tornadoes in this area. It just won't be as high end. It would probably be near moderate risk caliber. However, it wouldn't live up to Twitter's expectation of a high risk, or what they like to call extreme risk. They add new categories that don't even exist. It wouldn't live up to Twitter's expectation there. But regardless, it really doesn't matter what we see Saturday morning. We're going to end up with strong tornadoes. Is Saturday morning, if we have a bunch of convection, guess what? Saturday morning's going to have strong tornadoes, right? Because more storms would be in the warm sector where it's favorable. But those strong tornadoes and those damaging winds and that line of convection that the Euro shows would hurt instability in the afternoon of Saturday. So you'd gain the threat for severe weather Saturday morning, but you would lose that overall intensity for significant severe weather Saturday afternoon and evening. Because these cells would take up that instability in the morning, leaving less for the afternoon. So there's no good scenario here. We're going to end up with strong tornadoes either way. There's no good scenario. There's slightly better scenarios. Wow, these are actually looking pretty good. 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds on these. These don't look half bad out here in this is kind of east central Texas. That's our storms right now, ongoing across Texas. Don't look half bad. Mainly hailers, wind. Spin-up tornado can't be completely ruled out there. All right, you guys ready? You ready? It's time to do a deep dive into our weather models. We did a surface look and a SPC look. Now we're going to do an analysis look 40 minutes into the live stream, and we're going to finally get into the analysis part of this stream. First, we're going to start with our upper air here. So we're going to start with our 500 millibar trough, or rather 500 millibar wind speeds for your GFS, which is what you look at to see trough ejections. And today we have a relatively large shortwave trough here, making its way across portions of the southern U.S. Now, of course, this one here is an actual trough, but just in terms of shortwaves, this one's a decently large shortwave trough across portions of Texas and Louisiana, as well as into Arkansas. Thankfully, we will have a capping. You see this? See these lines going through your colors here? That's a capping. What that is that is a warm nose towards about the 850 to 700, most likely the 700 millibar level, that will prevent thunderstorms from firing and growing rapidly up into the atmosphere. Now, that cap may lift slightly here where we're seeing those storms fire in Texas right now. That cap is a little weaker. That's why we've seen those storms fire. So this is a sounding here from I believe southwestern Arkansas. Is that where I took this? Northeastern Texas. And you can see that little inversion right there. See that temperature inversion? That little tiny inversion right there. That is your cap. That's what's keeping these storms at bay across much of our warm sector today and tonight. You also have a dry air slot EML back up here in the 700 millibar as well. So definitely a decent EML and a capping that will prevent storms from firing. You can see here, I'll just zoom out really far. Right where my cursor is, it might be hard to see because we're far away, but it's 101 capping. That is a significant capping. That's enough to keep most storms at bay. But if we go to where those storms are firing now, east to the southeast of the DFW area, watch this. The capping is going to be barely even present, if not present at all. Zero capping. You can see you do have quite the temperature dew point spread. So what that means is storms will be more elevated. That's why we don't have a big tornado risk today. That temperature dew point spread is 16. That is too high. We've got 61 dews with 71 temps. That means storms will be very elevated. Cloud tops will be higher up as opposed closer towards the lower levels, which means it will be harder for tornadoes to form and overall favors more of a hail threat compared to tornadoes. Also, you have a lower level, or rather surface to lower level, which is surface to 3 kilometer lapse rates of almost 8 Celsius in the lower levels. That's that. See that temperature change, a very significant temperature change right here. See how you warm up significantly towards the lower level and the surface. So you've got some big time lapse rates here. And you also have some big time lapse rates here as well. I know you guys can barely see the temperature gradient, but we've got a lot of lapse rates in that level, which allows for more hail today. I just wanted to explain why we're not seeing a big tornado threat for today's threat. Tomorrow, we're just going to have a broad, large, warm sector that is uncapped out here Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Could see a spin-up tornado or two. The biggest issue is wind shear. You can see here, we only have good wind shear in southeastern Alabama, and it's still not even the best. Right around 150 lower level helicity in the 0 to 3 kilometer range there, so it's still not even that good. And that is the one area where we may see some storms fire. So, like I said, between that 1 p.m., or rather, between the noon and 3 p.m. central time frame, will be that chance for a spin-up tornado in southeast Alabama for tomorrow. Let's continue with your 500 millibars here. So your 500 millibars, you can see this storm system here, this quite large shortwave, now positively, that is positively to neutrally tilted. It is no longer negative by any means. So that will allow for pretty much just some general thunderstorms going into Thursday night across Florida. Not really going to be any tornado threat into the peninsula of Florida. You can see here, just general rain, right? Nothing, no severe weather there. And that's going to be what probably takes up some moisture out there in Dixie Alley. So that's what's saving us from a high-end caliber risk for strong tornadoes Friday. We're not going to end up with nearly as high of a ceiling as what we could have if we didn't have that shortwave. That shortwave is our saving grace for Friday. That's why we're not going to see a extremely high-end tornado threat. But even with that shortwave, we are still going to see a very, very large area. We are still going to see a very large area that experiences widespread damaging winds, specifically near the St. Louis area in the evening hours. But that tornado threat will be lower, again, because of that shortwave. Look at your dew points. Your 60-degree dew points Friday afternoon here, 4 p.m. Central. Your 60 dew point line is only into southeastern Arkansas. So that is a very small prime warm sector. Your prime warm sector doesn't really get outside of east central southeast Arkansas, according to the GFS. Now, that's what shocked me with the NAM. Look at the NAM. The NAM gets those 60-degree dew points almost up into southeastern Missouri, which would allow for a more substantial tornado threat right where I circled, right where that that pinched warm sector nose is going to be here for Friday night. So it depends exactly what we see there. How far north our dew points go. Regardless, we're looking at the potential for tornadoes, a strong tornado or two, and very widespread damaging winds on Friday. So definitely going to keep a really close eye on that. Like I said, we'll be covering that most of the event there Friday here on this channel. And then as we go into Saturday, Lucy tuned in. Lucy, I was actually looking for you in chat earlier because I wanted to tell you it did change. You are dead center of that enhanced risk here over St. Louis, right there. So there you go, dead center of that enhanced risk for severe weather. Your area may get upgraded to a moderate. If anyone's going to see a moderate risk on this day, I think St. Louis is going to be in the best chance for it. So I think St. Louis could see widespread 60, 70 mile per hour winds, and some winds could be as high as 80 to 90 for wind gusts there. Now the tornado threat will be lower. The tornado threat will be lower thanks to the minimal dew points, but still multiple spin up tornadoes primarily on the weak side. Can't fully rule out a isolated strong tornado threat there. And that will be Friday, very late Friday evening, close to the 7 p.m. Central Time frame. Then as we get into Saturday, so this is Saturday morning, we've got that very large, well, it's not as large anymore, but relatively large, negatively tilted trough ejections still moving up to the northeastern portions of Illinois and northern Indiana. That's where that main negative tilt is moving up to. That's what could spark the chance for some additional severe weather in this region going into Saturday evening and maybe Saturday night. Yes, it would definitely be driven by winds. I don't think we will see a moderate for tornadoes. I highly doubt that. But that is going to be one thing we pay attention to Saturdays, where that low is located and how sharply tilted that negative tilt trough is. But the main thing, the number one thing most people will pay attention to is this very large elongated trough that follows behind your primary trough there. So there's your primary trough and low pressure way up there in Iowa down into Ohio with that huge elongated, relatively neutral tilt there in orientation. And watch this Saturday morning. Watch right over eastern Texas. We're watching right here. There's a little shortwave kink in this elongated trough ejection that begins to tilt substantially. Watch that. See that? Saturday morning, it's tilting more. And by the time you get into Saturday afternoon, you have a negatively tilted shortwave across Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. Another shortwave in that area. That's not it. That's not it. No, another shortwave in that area. You've got three negatively tilted shortwaves across Dixie Alley here Saturday early afternoon. And that allows for, if we look here at the GFS, brace yourself, that allows for a substantial warm sector to form over Mississippi and Alabama, a relatively uncapped environment early in the afternoon hours here, with 2,000 to as high as 3,000 instability across Louisiana and Mississippi. With, if we look at dew points, very, very favorable dew points. You're looking at mid to high 60s and low 70s for dew points. So dew points will not be an issue out here for this threat for severe weather. And the reason why the GFS is so aggressive, if we look at this, look at Saturday morning, you get light rain showers. Again, light rain showers, they're not going to hurt the warm sector that much. Light rain showers Saturday morning, and then Saturday morning, still light rain showers over the warm sector. And these light rain showers at 1 p.m. Central, those probably could end up turning into actually supercells at 1 p.m. Central Time Saturday, as they're inside that open warm sector. And you can see that primary area right in here. Your most favorable environment would be in front of that range. So right here, this is your absolute peak environment. Right in that area is your absolute peak environment here, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and into the overnight hours. And I mean, that just continues to look ridiculous here. Again, you've got multiple sharply negatively tilted strong short waves embedded in this very large, elongated, no longer positive. Actually, the entire trough itself actually looks like it's starting to turn negative Saturday afternoon. Look at that. See, watch this area here. See how even here, actually, even here it's negatively tilted. I take that back. I think I called this a positive or neutral tilt trough. It looks negative here. Let's look at 700 millibars. Yeah, so you can very clearly see where those short waves are. Multiple short waves in this area here. And it does look like your primary orientation trough. Look here. It does look like it is indeed positive. It looks like I was correct with that originally. So your primary elongated trough is still positive. But again, look at all these negative short waves. You've got 3 to 4 negative tilt short waves in this area. So we'll keep an eye on that very, very closely. And if we look at the euro, not a lot changes kinematic-wise for the euro. But look at this. Look at your instability. This is most unstable Cape. So this is what your potentially higher end instability could end up looking like according to the euro. And look how much smaller that is. Look how much smaller that is for 2,000 plus instability. This little area here for 2,000 plus instability. Whereas if we go back with the GFS, look at the GFS. The GFS way up into central Mississippi. So big difference there. Why? Morning convection. Look at that. Look at that. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Central Time. You've got intense convection interrupting your warm sector here across from north central Alabama through central Alabama into a good chunk of Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas between the 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. time frame Saturday morning. A lot of convection. That would be good and bad. Like I said, that would be good in the sense of it would minimize the afternoon threat for intense long track tornadoes for Saturday. However, it would promote a threat for strong tornadoes very early Saturday morning because those storms would still be in that favorable warm sector. However, that favorable warm sector would have absolutely no time to recover for Saturday afternoon's threat and Saturday evening's threat for severe weather. If we look at any other model run, you ready? GFS, light convection. NAM, light convection. NAM 3K, even though it doesn't go out as far as the Euro, light convection. Canadian model run. Very light convection, but it does have that notably stronger convection here. It has notably stronger convection along your older cold front right in there. You see that? So that would promote a slightly less warm sector over Alabama. However, Look how established that is inside the line there. You can see that's a pretty well established line. So that would actually end up being possibly a significant early morning threat for severe weather Saturday morning, just like the Euro has. However, it's so much further east than the Euro. What does that mean? Well, look at this. Boom. Complete re-intensification of your warm sector. That warm sector is rapidly able to recover, and you are all go for a significant threat for severe weather Saturday afternoon on the Canadian model run as well. So the Euro model is the only model run that gets rid of that potential intense long track tornado threat. It is an outlier. It is a very obvious outlier. I just went over it. The Canadian, the GFS, the NAM 3K, all agree that we will not have substantial convection over the open warm sector in the very early morning hours. So I think the Euro is going to be a model run that gets this wrong. Most likely will be a model run that gets this wrong. And look at this. Even if it gets it right, what's that? That is a discrete supercell in an open warm sector at 7 a.m. Central Time in the morning on a Saturday in a very favorable environment. So even if the NAM, or rather Euro, my bad, even if the Euro gets it right, it will still be a significant tornado threat, just substantially sooner, and not as bad of a tornado threat Saturday afternoon. And look at this. What's that? That's probably going to be semi-discrete to discrete convection Saturday afternoon. Not nearly as far north and as widespread as the GFS, but it's still there. So even if this is correct, we are still going to see a significant tornado threat on Saturday. It's just the fact that it would be substantially lower if we were to not see convection over the open warm sector Saturday morning. I want to quickly go check on those severes in Texas, see if they're doing anything. Yeah, they're really not going to be able to produce a tornado threat. Just still isolated hail threat. Personal opinion, I don't think these things are going to be able to produce more than 1.75 inch hail. The SPC said 2.5. I don't think these things are going to get close to anything more than 1.75 inch hail. We might have a rogue cell that could produce slightly higher than that, but look, even the discrete cells are dying out here today, so I think that capping is gonna keep us from a notable threat today, which is good. With all the severe weather we have coming up here, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're gonna need a break. And then as we go on into Sunday, we are going to see that line of significant damaging winds continue about 7 a.m. Eastern. Rather, this would be 8 a.m. Eastern time Sunday morning now, because we're going into Eastern. That line of significant damaging winds likely widespread 60-mile-an-hour winds, isolated 70-mile-an-hour winds possible through the morning hours of Sunday. Sunday still around that 11 a.m. time frame. And then finally, as we get towards 2 a.m. Sunday, we might have a brief opportunity for some isolated tornadoes in East Southeast Virginia and Eastern North Carolina, as you can see here by the GFS model. We do get some instability that builds out in front of that line in the afternoon hours, and that may promote a lower end tornado threat for Sunday afternoon and very early evening hours there. And then by the time you get into the 8 p.m. Eastern time frame Sunday night, that line is exiting the coastal areas of North Carolina, Virginia. So overall, the most widespread day for severe weather will easily be Friday. Significant damaging winds across a extremely large portion of the United States. Starting Friday afternoon and progressing through the rest of Friday into extremely early morning Saturday. That will by far be the most widespread threat for severe weather. However, the most significant threat for severe weather, the threat for severe weather that could actually end up getting to one of the more potent and higher risk days for severe weather that we've seen in Dixie Alley in the last couple of years, will definitely be Saturday. You could see here on the GFS, it has that open warm sector with some convection in it Saturday morning, or rather Saturday afternoon. And if that does happen, we are looking at most likely a high risk caliber day. The only reason why I don't personally think this will go high risk is because of uncertainty in that open warm sector. That's the only reason why I'm thinking this won't go high risk. If as we get closer, the NAM3K and the HRRR start showing convection in the warm sector, don't even question it. The SPC will probably end up mentioning or issuing a high risk for severe weather. No doubt in my mind, they will start to just hint towards that. They'll be like, we possible risk upgrade at 1630Z. Boom. Pink mesoscale discussion at 11Z. They'll hint towards it slowly, and then boom, they'll issue it right away, if this does happen. And another opportunity, another thing that we could see is a day 3 moderate risk for severe weather. We could see this upgraded to a day 3 moderate for strong, long-tracked, intense tornadoes. Strong to intense, long-tracked tornadoes here Saturday. And that will help a lot. We're going to need to pay very close attention to how the SPC describes this threat tomorrow morning. They're going to have their day 3 discussion. What that means is it will be a way more in-depth and detailed discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. So we'll need to watch that very closely and just read those words really closely to understand if there's any big words. For instance, what they have right now, I don't know if you saw this, but they do something quite interesting for the day 4 through 8 outlook. Did you see it today? See if you noticed it. Look at this. All caps towards the top of their discussion. Severe weather outbreak possible on day 4 Saturday in all caps. That's not something the SPC does lightly. They are very conservative with their forecast. So if they are saying a severe weather outbreak is possible in all caps at the top of their discussion, 72 hours out, that immediately is signaling to me, okay, this has the chance to go moderate on any outlook from here on out. And even the possibility for a high risk, especially if we see a day 3 or day 2 moderate risk for severe weather. And with how large that enhanced risk is, you bet, there is plenty of room for a moderate risk to be in the center to west side of that enhanced risk. And it's all going to come down to confidence. If they think the Euro is a complete outlier, which, by the way, this is one of the best forecasters at the SPC right here, Littman, fantastic forecaster. They're all good at the SPC, but that one, I actually know that person. I've talked to them before on Twitter. But anyways, so that big enhanced risk for severe weather definitely has room for a moderate risk there in Mississippi and Alabama. So we'll keep a very close eye on it. Again, we're going to have to pay very close attention to their discussion. It will be on the day 3 discussion. Right now, this is for Friday. Friday is day 3. And look at the big discussion they have for Friday, right? Huge discussion for Friday. So that's what, right when I wake up, I got to be dead honest with you. I'm not going to look at the SPC. The first thing I'm going for, NAM3K. I got to be honest with you. Right when I wake up, I'm grabbing my phone, going to College of DuPage and checking that NAM3K 06Z run. That is the first thing I'm doing. Then I'll go look at the SPC. Because I'll be way more interested to see what the NAM3K shows right off the bat. Watch it just not have any initiation Saturday. That would be crazy. So, my personal opinion, we won't see a day 3 moderate. They will discuss in their discussion tomorrow. They will say too much forecast uncertainty in either like convection in the open warm sector, over convection in the morning hours. And then they'll say possible outlook upgrades and future updates. And then we'll probably end up with a day 2 moderate. And then at day 1, we're either going to be borderline high risk or high risk. That's my thoughts. However, to be honest with you, it would not shock me one bit to see a day 3 moderate. That would not surprise me at all. If they ignore the euro altogether, it's an easy day 3 moderate. However, you can't just fully ignore a model run. You still have to take it into somewhat consideration. So, we'll see. Keep in mind that the SPC now updates the day 3 outlook twice a day. They update it both in the morning hour, which if I look here, they update it at 7:30Z. Gracious day. Let me think of conversion. Lord have mercy. I don't know what that is. Is that 3:30 a.m. or 2:30 a.m.? I'm not good with the early Z conversions. I'm not sure what Z that is. 2:30 or 3:30 a.m. I'll go look at it. NWS Zulu coordinated time. We are now in daylight savings time. Yeah, we are. That is 3:30 a.m. Eastern. So they update at 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, and then they'll update again at, let me look at their outlook. Nope. Is it 3:30 again too? They updated at 3:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Okay. I guess they updated it both at 3:30s. That's easy to remember. Yeah, they do. Okay, sweet. That's easy to remember. Not complaining there. So they update at 3:30 a.m. as well as 3:30 p.m. on the day 3 outlooks. Alrighty. Y'all ready? It's sounding time. We are about to see some of the craziest soundings in Dixie Alley in a long time. Alrighty, NAM, here we go. Let's start with the NAM on Friday. We're going to only be using the NAM. Why? Because it is a slightly more accurate model run. Definitely not the most accurate, but slightly more accurate than the GFS. Let's go and pull some soundings for Friday inside this open warm sector in front of your cold front dry line. Pull a bunch of them. Let's go into your overnight hours where we could have that tornado threat overnight in these areas. Again, aiming to pull it on the east-southeast side of that greatest area of supercell composite. Pulling it dead in the middle of the night towards 1 a.m. We'll do just a few here. Alrighty. We'll skip very early Saturday morning and we'll go into Saturday towards like the 10 a.m. time frame. We'll figure out where that convection is real quick. Okay, it's going to be a little difficult to avoid complete convection contamination here. But we will just pull it anyways. Even on that northern risk. Now we get into the big guaranteed PDS soundings here. That's where we get into the PDS soundings. Pull one over Central Alabama. And then that is where we get into the peak environment. Again, trying to get in front of that convection. We do not want convection contaminated soundings. Most of these are going to be PDS. We will go ahead and pull one right. We're going to nitpick one. You ready? 19 supercell composite. Wait, let's look at the STP. Oh, heck yeah. We're going to pull it right over that purple dot right there. You see that STP of almost 9? Yep, we're going to nitpick that one. That one going to be bad. All right, let's go over here. Saturday night now. We'll pick a few more out. And one more. Lord have mercy. I've got like 20 soundings. Y'all ready? Woo, let me take a sip of water. This is going to be a long discussion. Alrighty. I heard, wow, EML high. I see an EML like crazy right there. That is in west central Illinois. Definitely an S tier hodograph right there. S tier hodograph. Sufficient instability. A little convection contaminated. I tried my best, but it still ended up being a little convection contaminated. You can't see the lapse rates. Let me see if I can. There you go. Lapse rates at 7.1 kilometers. So overall, where's your... Ooh, yeah. You are definitely looking at some kicking damaging winds here. You're talking about 70, 80, isolated 90 mile per hour winds if that cold front's strong enough being possible here. Almost 1,000 D cape. So it would not surprise me there. Definitely the risk for multiple spin-up tornadoes, maybe even an isolated spin-up strong tornado. Especially with all that curvature embedded inside the line, you can almost bet you're going to see multiple spin-up tornadoes out there in, what is that? West Central Illinois, I think I said. Yep, West Central Illinois, well to the north of St. Louis. Next. Still a little convection contaminated, slightly more south, just south of St. Louis. This is where the greatest tornado threat should exist if we see any semi-discrete cells. And you can see we've got a good temperature dew point spread. A little low on dew points, but hey, that temperature dew point spread is only 7. So that is, where is the hodograph? Where's the rest of it? So yeah, definitely going to end up with a significant tornado threat here. If this actually happens, we could definitely end up with a significant tornado threat. Maybe even an isolated long-tracked significant tornado threat. Pretty good storm slinky. Not the best. I believe you want a perfect... I think, like... Is it 75? I forgot exactly what it is for the critical angle and the degree there. I'll have to do some research on it. I've forgotten about this. I'm not even going to lie. But either way, that looks pretty good because what this means is... This means embedded supercells or discrete supercells are going to look like this. So you'll have a lot of south-southeasterly winds that can get around and try to rotate that thunderstorm. Your hodograph is the same too here. If we draw out your hodograph, assuming where the rest of it went, you've got this huge, huge supercell hodograph up here in, again, just south of St. Louis. Is that for the critical angle or the storm slinky degree? Critical angle is closer to 90. Yeah, this is only 49. So not the best there. But other than that critical angle, I believe everything else is like an A+, right? Even though you're a little lacking in moisture, as long as it's not that ridiculous 15, 17 temperature dew point spread with elevated supercells, I think you could still get multiple tornadoes, maybe even a strong one out of this, and possibly long tracked thanks to those lapse rates, the good amount of downdraft cape. Okay, 3 cape for long track tornadoes. If I'm not mistaken, you're wanting at least 103 cape. That's your instability in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, which is like generally in here is where your 3 cape is. I believe it's like 1 to 3 kilometer cape is what it is. It's called 3 cape because it's 3 kilometer. And if you look here, look, that's 3 kilometer right there. So your 3 cape is in here generally. Dry air aloft. Don't let that fool you. That is not going to hurt supercell development as long as you've got good forcing and it's not Dixie Alley with convection bands out there, or I should say confluence bands. This could hurt confluence bands because it might not allow for them to grow upscale rapidly. However, if this were in Dixie, those lapse rates would help a Dixie threat. But anyways, we'll talk about that when we look at the soundings in Dixie. That dry air aloft is going to help promote rapid supercell development, and you don't actually have a notable EML. This may be a small EML because it is a dry layer, an elevated dry layer. There you go. An EML is an elevated mixed layer. You don't have the temperatures here. If you had the temperature warm nose, then it would be an elevated mixed layer because of the temperatures. So for an EML, you'd have to have those temperatures to go like this. They'd go warming, 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 and then they'd rapidly cool off, and then warm, 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 warm. And that little portion where they cool off would stop thunderstorm development from getting up. And typically your EML is at the 700 millibar. Just keep that in mind when we go look at Dixie Alley. See if we actually get a good EML warm nose in the 700 millibar in Dixie Alley. Overall, A plus sounding here. Like I said, strong tornado threat, maybe even long tracked with these supercells. And again, this is on the southern edge of the line, so these supercells could actually end up being a little more semi-discrete and or fully discrete, especially into Arkansas. Next, still convection contaminated slightly, but that's okay. I'm spotting an EML. That is a EML. You see that right there? You do indeed have your warm nose. You have your dry slot here. That is indeed an EML between your 850 and 700 millibar. Where? Southeastern Arkansas. That might prevent supercells from firing over that area into Friday evening. Until the front comes through. Once that front comes through, it may rapidly ignite those supercells into semi-discrete cells. So that's both a good and a bad thing. A good thing because you probably won't see prefrontals on this day, at least at this time frame in this area at 7 p.m. Central. But once that front comes through 2 hours later, it's going to hit that EML and it's going to force that. It's going to force those parcels up into the atmosphere, and it's going to rapidly develop those mature supercells in this area. So that's why we have that enhanced risk for strong tornadoes out in southeastern Arkansas. And then, of course, A plus hodograph. Again, if you were to just draw that out as a supercell, boom, you've got a very classic supercell. A good south-southeasterly winds would be able to wrap around that and promote rotation. You've got good wind shear. S-tier varying. That is like a classic. That is like a classic sign of veering with height right there. That's about as good as it gets with veering right there. And you can see that in your wind shear. 500, almost 500 surface to 1 kilometer helicity with over 600 surface to 3 kilometer helicity. So very classic veering with height. Good dew point temperature spread. The only reason this is not a PDS tornado sounding is right there. You can't see it. Lapse rates. Those lapse rates. 5.2. That means that storms, when they first fire, are going to struggle. Even with that rapid development with the cold front and dry line hitting that EML, rapidly trying to rise up and force those parcels up into the atmosphere, turn them into thunderstorms. That very low amount of temperature change with height in the surface to 3 kilometer is probably going to be an issue in this area. If storms can get past that 3 kilometer range at the 700 millibar, which is about 8,000 feet up in the atmosphere, ecotops wise, then they would tap into that potent environment with that dry air slot up here and try to rapidly develop. But because of those lower level lapse rates being so low, you may be able to see a spin up tornado if a supercell can get going. But that's a big issue right there. That's a big issue right there. Going into southeastern Arkansas. Next. These are good. These are good for Friday. My goodness. Oh, lapse rate issue right off the bat. A little lower on instability because we're getting so far south. A little less varying, but still plenty of varying with height. Plenty of varying. Great hodograph. It's not the best hodograph, especially in this region here. You may have slightly more messy supercells like that, kind of. If I could zoom out. You may have slightly messier cells like that with your supercell. So they may be slightly displaced with the greatest area of convection. Don't think that would be a notable issue, honestly. I don't think that will be much of an issue. It's not something that I would think would lessen the tornado threat, right? I still think it's going to be a good tornado threat. No EML, but that is good in this area because that means any forcing that you get will instantly try to fire a supercell. It will right away try to fire a supercell in this area. If you had an EML and that minimal forcing came through and just tapped it, it wouldn't be able to push those parcels up rapidly. So because you're going to have such weak, very weak forcing in this area, remember your cold front dry line's right in there. And you're going to have very weak forcing. South of Little Rock is where your forcing gets quite minimal. So an EML in that area would definitely inhibit any type of thunderstorms from developing all day. Hence why, brief intermission, if we go to the SPC outlook for day 3, hence why they've downgraded most of this area to a marginal and a general thunderstorm risk as opposed to that slight risk. And at one point, I believe you were almost, if not in the enhanced risk in this area, because that forcing is going to be so minimal. But they still have that slight risk and that enhanced risk here because you're going to have a minimal EML as you get later in the day. That forcing is going to try to increase the threat for tornadoes. So the greatest tornado threat, in my opinion, from what we've looked at on Friday so far, probably going to be centered over this area. Right in here. Whenever storms fire, wherever they fire, moving east. All right, let's keep going with them soundings. This one, again, we just looked at was in western Mississippi. Yikes. All right, this is going into your overnight tornado threat. Yeah, that's a rough one right there. That is a rough one. Reason for this not being PDS, can't really tell you. I guess it's just not extreme enough. But that is probably a borderline PDS tornado sounding right there. I can't see what's wrong. Your instability is a little low, but I mean, in my opinion, for this time of year in this area with minimal forcing, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. I don't see an issue. Ooh, maybe that's what it is. You may have a little EML there, but that's gonna, boom. It will be right, it will immediately erode right when that cold front hits it. No issue. So, I want to go 03Z Saturday. I'm going to take another one. Gimme. Right there. Give me this. Is that going to be convection contaminated? Maybe. Point proven. Point proven. Point proven. Point proven. That is a PDS tornado sounding. Boom. There you go. Point proven. Point proven. All right, back over to here. So there you go, a little bit more west into that better forcing, and then boom, you've got an explosion. Let's see. Again, this is a S tier sound. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. S tier. S tier. Now, if this was on the cold front at the forcing mechanism, then, and this is exactly what it looked like, I would probably put it a little bit lower. But because this is in the open warm sector, about 30 minutes to an hour in front of the cold front, so that EML doesn't matter because, again, cold front's going to hit it, parcels are going to explode upwards, dry air slot's going to increase that explosion and mature development of supercells, and you've got yourself a PDS tornado sounding, which, again, I just showed you guys that a second ago. So that's an S tier sounding right there, West Central Tennessee at 11 p.m. Central. Where's the hodograph? That sucker gone again. Welcome, Matthew and DeAndre, to the stream. Let's see here. No, that's not bad at all, Rockets. As long as this white line is pointing northeast, it's not bad. Even this pointing north is not bad. You want that white line needs to be pointing more to the northeast. Because that would mean... Imagine this is a supercell, right? This is a supercell. If that supercell is moving north, what's it going to do? It's going to move into more cells. It's going to be more of a messy threat, right? That's what you look for with parallel shear vectors along the orientation of your front. The more parallel they are, crap, I forgot which way parallel is. DeAndre, help me out. I know you made a graph on it. You sent me it on Twitter. It's either parallel or perpendicular. I forgot which way's which. That promotes more linear storms. It's north, okay? North. The more north that shear vector is, the more linear it's going to get, okay? Unless your front is orientated southwest. That would be weird. Imagine you had a cold front orientated like that moving northeast. Then a more north shear vector would actually promote supercell development and discrete storms. But anyways, again, just the storm slinky, you want it to point more northeast, because if it points northeast, then it's going to be it's going to move into better environments and not tap into other supercells. Parallel is more linear. Okay. Got it. I got confused. Sorry. I finished high school like 2.5 years ago. I forgot which one was which. But yeah, I mean, instability's a little low. That's what's going to keep this from being an S tier sounding. So maybe A plus sounding there. Thank you, Matthew, for the $10 donation. Greatly appreciated. How's my Western Kentucky? I heard overnight supercells for me. Yeah. Yep. I think you have a very real chance at a isolated strong tornado threat overnight. I bet that just sent chills down Matthew's spine there. Overnight strong tornadoes? No. Not many weather enthusiasts want to mess with that. I don't think anybody's going to want overnight strong tornadoes. Ever. And again, this was in... Oh, hi. I didn't even know that was in Southeast Illinois there. Okay, so yeah. That's actually really good. That's why your instability is lower, because it's more north. So that's why. So, shoot. For this area, that's an S tier sounding right there. For this area. Where it's located so far north, displaced from the best moisture, that's a S tier sounding. But overall, we got to be fair. This would be more of a... an A sounding overall. Thank you, Girl Dad, for the $5 donation. What did that say? Error. All right, next one. Oh, hi. Where are you at? Mississippi PDS tornado sounding at, get this, 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Central. Wow. Wait. I think that might be 10 p.m. Central, actually. Never mind. Yeah, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central. 04Z is midnight Eastern, which means 03Z is 11 p.m. Eastern. Take off an hour because it's Central, 10 p.m. So, that's weird that this is a PDS tornado sounding because of those lapse rates. 5.9 lapse rates? Yeah. Yeah, that would not be a PDS tornado sounding in my opinion. And you also have an EML there. You also have an EML warm nose, and then that dry air towards near that EML as well. So that's not a PDS tor sounding in my book. In my opinion, this is like an A plus sounding. Still strong tornadoes. Maybe a long tracked tornado would be possible, but the EML being there. Oh, crud. Well, the EML being there, you see where that is right there? So ignore this new sound that's about to pop up there. But that EML being in South Central, another PDS Taurus sounding. But that EML being in South Central Illinois, the minimal forcing, it being overnight, I don't think that's going to be able to ignite supercells at 10 p.m. Central. I personally don't see that. Matthew, Henderson, Kentucky. Let me see how far east that is. Henderson, Kentucky. Ooh, little north. If there were to be a moderate risk for tornadoes, I would be thinking it'd be placed in this area here. if there were a moderate 4 tornadoes for Friday. I think it would probably be barely to your southwest, very close to you though. However, I don't think we will see a moderate 4 tornadoes unless other models start to follow the NAM. Then we might. I think we will see a moderate risk for wind in this region up here. I think we will see a moderate risk for wind somewhere generally in this area. Hudson, you must have just tuned in because I legit spent 5 minutes, maybe even a little longer than that, over a Western Kentucky PDS tour sounding. So I don't know what you're on about, bud. Let's see here. So again, I'd say it's A plus sounding here. Lapse rates are the biggest issue, and again, I think not enough forcing as well as that EML is going to prevent storms from actually using that environment. Where's the hodograph? Once again, our hodograph keeps disappearing. What's up with this? That should show you how crazy the kinematics are with this trough, right? Half the hodographs we've seen, the hodograph ain't even on the page no more. That should tell you how crazy the kinematics are with this setup. Matthew, is that where your house is? I think I accidentally pulled a sounding over your house, bud. Look at this. This is a sounding very close to you. Very, very close to you. Here for 06Z Saturday. I pulled this before you were even in. Before you were even in the stream. So that's for 06Z Saturday, which if I'm not mistaken is 1 p.m. Central. Let me think. 11 p.m. plus 3 hours. Yeah. I think I said 1 p.m. 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Central Time Saturday morning. Let's see what this looks like. Dry air loft. That might be too significant of dry air loft. Our other soundings, if you remember that green dew point line, it was more of gradual dry air, right? It was like this. This is more of favorable, favorable, favorable. Whoa, dry air. So it goes from that favorable to immediate dry air and then favorable, favorable. That could be an issue for sustaining mature supercells. That would probably prevent any long-tracked tornado threat. But you could still see multiple spin-up tornadoes, maybe even a spin-up strong tornado in this environment overnight into the very early morning hours of Saturday. Lapse rates, they're good. D-Cape's fantastic. Wind shear is S tier, fantastic wind shear. Your only lacking part here, your big lack, is probably the Cape and that dry air slot in the 500 and 600 millibar. Let's see. There we go. This person's posted this image forever. We don't need him in our community. Let's see. Let me get their @user, and I'm going to give them one warning and one warning only. Okay. I'll give them a warning after stream if I remember. And then if they post it next time, I'm just going to ban them right off the bat. Yeah, this channel and our Discord server, we're very strict. You could be banned for possibly some dumb things, I will admit, but it's a weather channel. It's not supposed to be some, a mature audience or something. It's made to talk about the weather. It's family. We're fully family friendly. I'll always be family friendly. And so even the tiniest things, cuss words give you a strike, timeout, warning on our server. Cuss words in the chat, that will give you a timeout to a possible ban. Anything like that, especially if you consistently cuss, it's going to be a big punishment. Which I understand that's aggressive for most people, but that's just how we run our channel. Matter of fact, cuss words are actually hidden, so 90% of the cuss words that you may try to say in chat immediately get flagged by YouTube and deleted before mods or me or Nightbot even knows it's been sent. So Southwest Indiana there. What did Matthew say? I'm pretty sure Matthew said something. That's me. Yeah. Pretty sure I pulled that right over your house. Mods want to show this nerd who thinks he can get away with it. Right away, Legacy. 2 seconds, deleted. And matter of fact, since I just told you about that, you're stupid. Enjoy your 30-minute timeout. You're not going to get a warning. I just discussed it. Next time, I'll just ban you straight up. I just discussed it, so that's just dumb on your part, Mike. That's testing us. Let's see here. All right, this next one is far northeastern Mississippi. Far northeastern Mississippi. Not the best sounding. Low cape, low lapse rates, S-tier kinematics. That dry air at 700 millibar may be a bit of an issue there. Oh my goodness, Alice, you're right. I've taken all of these soundings on the 12Z NAM. Y'all, all these soundings have uptrended. Everything that we've looked at has all uptrended. We're not even looking at the new NAM, which uptrended. So keep that in mind. These aren't even the highest end soundings. I'm taking it on an old model run that is not the most favorable model run. I just saw that at the top left. I don't know how you saw that, but you are right. That is 12Z. So these soundings are actually more favorable. However, the 18Z NAM, 18Z models as a whole are typically less accurate because they don't use weather balloon data. At 12Z and 00Z, the National Weather Service across the United States launches multiple weather balloons. Those weather balloons go into our model data at 12Z and 00Z, and both the 12Z, 0Z are significantly, typically, more accurate than the counterparts being the 0Z and 18Z. So it's not terrible that we're using the 12Z NAM, considering the 18Z is very significant. And I wouldn't be shocked if the 0Z downtrends a little bit, just because the 18Z doesn't have those weather balloon data like the 12Z. That may have been quite confusing. Just know 12Z and 0Z is more accurate, okay? There you go. So this sounding, the forcing wouldn't arrive till late. That main forcing wouldn't arrive till late, so I don't think this would do much. This would be more of something you have to pay attention to for Saturday afternoon's threat as opposed to an overnight threat, so not really going to do much analysis on these. Yeah, they're so far east, I'm not really going to care about them that much. That one may be a little different. This is 15Z now. So that's a little different, not 06Z. So this is in the morning of Saturday. Hold on, these I do care about. I do care about these because they're in the morning of Saturday here. So this is give or take 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Lower level lapse rates are an issue, but boy oh boy will those definitely improve throughout the day as you get some daylight heating and just overall better thermodynamics. So this is your morning sounding, all right? This is your morning sounding, not your primary sounding, which would be in the afternoon when those storms start going through. The warm sector. But this is your morning sounding. So what do I look for here? The biggest thing, EML. And what's that? What is that? Warm nose, dries a lot. You get drier here, and then you get more moist over on this side. So this means that you're drier for a little bit at 700 millibars, then you start increasing in ingredients. You're very, 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 very favorable, decrease, and then continue to be favorable. So that right there is a weak EML. That is a weak EML. And even though it's weak, it is a notable EML. You can see it, right? It's a very obvious EML, but it is on the weaker side of EMLs. So that is a good sounding for definitely a good sounding. That's going to prevent any overconvection in the morning hours, and you're just going to explode with any forcing mechanism or lifting mechanism that moves through in the afternoon hours. That is a good sounding for the morning. It is not an S tier sounding for the morning. You know, if it were S tier, we'd have a more substantial EML. But that I would say is like an A tier sounding in terms of a morning sounding. This one, that is an EML. That is a strong EML. That is a potent EML right there. Very obvious EML. Don't know if potent is the right word for it. However, that's over Tennessee, so that's good. Why is that good? Because Tennessee is going to see a lot of overconvection in the afternoon. Even though you have an EML, it's going to still overconvect. So this, thankfully, if this were in Mississippi, we would be in huge trouble. So this is in Tennessee. That's the slightly good news. The other bad news is this is in Tennessee. So if you are out here in Central Tennessee, that's like right near Nashville, you are going to have a morning threat for a couple spin up tornadoes, some damaging winds, and then probably an afternoon threat as well. I wouldn't be shocked to see I didn't mean to say that. Where is Nashville in terms of the risk? I wouldn't be shocked to see you pushed up into the enhanced. I wouldn't be shocked if the enhanced is barely to your east or over Nashville. That wouldn't surprise me. Let's close that out. Go up here. I want to check our storms in Texas real quick, just briefly. I don't want to get too in depth with any of them. Yeah, very. Watch that one. See that little kind of indent? It's very low res radar because we're so far. If there's any tornado threat, that would probably be the one I'd keep an eye on, just in case. But we're so far from radar, I can't tell you if that's rotating in the lower levels or not, or towards the surface. All right, so that one was in Central Tennessee, and there is a PDS tour sounding in southeastern Alabama in the afternoon hours. So EML, in this case, doesn't matter as much. This right here, in my book, is pretty much as S tier as you are going to get. What is the issue here? Nothing. This is about as S tier as you're going to get for Dixie Alley. The kinematics are a little low for Dixie Alley. A little surprised that that's not up to like 400 in the surface to 1 kilometer. But hey, still favorable for strong, intense, long track tornadoes. Very favorable. And like I said, you don't have an EML here. But guess what? You don't want an EML here because this is where storms would fire. This is where storms are going to fire. So if you have an EML, you're not going to see those storms fire until that cold front comes through. So this is a good sounding for convection to fire along a confluence band, move up to the northeast, and then move into a more favorable environment. But this is about as favorable as it's going to get. Not really any underperformance factors here. I mean, freaking 2,600 instability, 70 dews, 77 temps, dry air loft to rapidly help mature supercells as they get above that 3 kilometer range, which is about 7,000-ish feet. 700 millibar, 3 kilometer, about 7,000 feet. Really good hodograph. Hodograph could be a little better. Could be a little better because the kinematics aren't the best, but it's still really good. It's still really good. Veering is slightly weaker there, right there. Notice your wind barbs aren't red at all, so it is a little weaker veering, but still plenty of wind shear, plenty of veering, great thermodynamics, great kinematics, great wind shear, great downdraft cape, great 3 cape. And of course that leads to a PDS Tour sounding. I know you can't see it, but that's what it says here. There you go. PDS tornado sounding. Next one. Wow. That analog list is packed. packed full of analogs right there. Packed full. Thank you for that, Weather on the Go. That's useful information. This trough is going to begin to move onshore towards 00Z, which is right there. I mean, we are almost 16 minutes away from that. So once those weather balloons go up, which they're probably going up about now, we'll get some better data for this trough. Which I see that really quick. Let's take a brief intermission. Intermission? What did I just say? Let's take a brief intermission to go look at our current jet stream. And looky there. There it are. There it is, creeping on into California. You got, that is the right exit region of your trough, creeping on into California. So it is in the U.S. Your main low isn't in the U.S. You can see how we will progress over the next 6 hours. But it's creeping in. Then, of course, there you have your shortwave over Texas. Relatively, it looks like you've got the elongated trough itself is more positively tilted here. But then you do have that little indent right in here, which is more of a short wave inside of your short wave. And that's a negative tilt, which is why those storms fired out here in Texas. You can see they're right along that negative tilt. And also because your capping weakened in that area too. All right, this sounding is in southeastern Mississippi at 1 p.m. Central. Again, find an issue. Point one out for me. Where is there a underperformance factor here? 68 dews, 74 temps, almost 300 surface to 1 kilometer wind shear, almost 350 surface to 3 kilometer wind shear, a great hodograph, 6.6 kilometer lapse rates, almost 1,000 D cape, almost 133 cape, 2,300 instability. You've got that dry air aloft, so storms are going to be able to intensify. You don't have dry air towards the lower level. You don't have an EML. That is a good sounding right there. You do see right in here, there is some convection contaminated. It is somewhat convection contaminated because we are in the open warm sector. There is, on the NAM model, there is a storm actively in this environment. There is a storm actively using this environment on the NAM. That's why it's convection contaminated. And of course, it's a PDS Tor sounding. This one, PDS Tor sounding as well. That dry air loft is a little sharp. Personally, above the 700 millibar, I don't like to see sharp dry air slots there like that. In my opinion, it's a little too sharp, but it's still going to be good. Again, find an issue. 3 cape's a little lower on this one. 93 cape, just a little lower. But, I mean, you barely have any issue. Why is there an analog for 4.25 inch hail? What? Bruh. I don't see that happening. But there you go. That's for, again, that's going to be in west central Alabama at 2 p.m. Eastern. Really no issue there. Can we please not say April 27th, 2011 all over again in chat? Mods, if you see that, please delete the message. Unless it is a reasonable comparison, which I doubt most of you, no offense, I doubt most of you in chat could actually properly compare that, because most of you guys would just end up looking at the NAM 3K and it has supercells and you're like, April 27th all over again. So just mods, if you see that, if you can, delete the messages. You don't have to ban them or time them out. Why? Because just in case you forgot, a lot of people A lot of people lost their lives on that day. There was almost 300 tornado reports. I mean, shoot, we had multiple EF5s. So just throwing that around is very immature without a reasonable explanation. Now, on Twitter, I've seen some pretty good explanations for similarities, but the progression of the trough, the thermodynamics, the exact kinematics, how it progressed, the morning round, the afternoon round, the potential for discrete supercells, every trough's different. It's not going to be April 27th, 2011 all over again or worse than. Let me do that. There we go. So if you are enjoying the live stream, make sure you hit that like button. We already hit our like goal. We have just a few more soundings to get through here, and then we'll move on to something else. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are just 18 away from 8,000 subscribers. Just 18 away. We are right on the edge of it. Now let's go over to this one. This is in South Central Mississippi here. So we've got 2,600 instability, PDS Tor sounding. Again, that dry air is a little sharp for my liking. Maybe a tiny EML in place, but no notable EML. Pretty good Storm Slinky there as well. I apologize if I just missed every single comment. My chat just stopped. I didn't see anyone chat for 3 minutes. Oh my goodness, it just flew by. I don't know if that was on my end or YouTube's end, but all the messages just came in at once. Like, we just had 30 messages in 2 seconds. So, I apologize. Hopefully that wasn't my end. I hope it wasn't my end. I hope it was your end. No, I hope it was YouTube's end, actually. I hope it was y'all's Wi-Fi, not mine. All right, but I think you get the point. Right, S-tier sounding, PDS Tor, S-tier sounding, PDS Tor, S-tier sounding, PDS Tor, S-tier sounding, PDS Tor. Oh, a little bit to the northeast. Still, that would be really good. Just not great on lapse rates. We're down to 5.6 lapse rates. That's the only reason why it's not a PDS Tor sounding. So you're just looking at still a strong, significant tornado threat, maybe long tracked. It's just going to be harder to get that long tracked tornado threat there. PDS Tor, same ordeal, a little bit south. I mean, really, I'm not going to go through all these very slowly. They're all PDS Tor soundings. You get the gist, right? You get the point. You get the point. Saturday's high end, right? Yeah, I blame YouTube too. I blame YouTube. Let me see if there's a YouTube outage at all. There was no spike in a YouTube outage, so if it's only for like 3 minutes, that's okay. I'd rather have it be 3 minutes and completely cut off my stream. Let's see here. We got the Rap 21 at Zian. You are going to see my live reaction to it. Well, shoot, we just spoiled it. Freaking derecho. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and pull this forward and see how this progresses. What are those dew points? Why do they just not move? Look at that. They just don't move for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't move for like 7 hours. What is up with that? That is cap. That is a lie. But look how far north the warm sector is in the morning. And then just for some reason, there's our 60 dew point warm sector. For some reason, the wrap just doesn't push anything north. I don't know why. And it has like no instability. What? What? What are you doing? Ooh, it still shows a strong tornado threat, though. Look at that. Sounding time. Crap. It's going to be convection contaminated. Take 2. Actually, that might not be convection contaminated. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely wrong with dew points. It's having some mixing issues here. And there is a bit of convection contaminated. I'd say that's an A tier sounding right there. Especially since it's mixing, so your dew points will likely come up a little bit higher there, but even with that mixing issue, it's still good. Still good. Same goes for this one. Wow. What is up with that huge dry air slot at 700 millibar? That might inhibit storms from firing. Where are you? You are in... Okay, that is like west of Memphis. But when that cold front comes through, I wish we could go out a few more frames. I would nearly guarantee at least some cells would begin to fire along that line, southern end of that line. My next question, instability, pull it back some, and try to get a sounding in front of that possible derecho. Just northwest of St. Louis. See what this says. Convection contaminated, but I really wanted to look at that decape. Only about 595 there. It is definitely having some issues, for sure. Might just consider the wrap model a bit of an outlier here. Not a big outlier, but look at the difference between the GFS, right? The NAM, and then the wrap. And then if we go to dew points, you could also see the difference between the NAM and the wrap. So I think the wrap is a little bit of an outlier because of its mixing issue, which is not uncommon. I'm pretty sure that's one of its known biases. I'm not surprised by that. So I would not... I would kind of take it a little bit lighter, right? I wouldn't put as much stock into that low-end dew point scenario happening. Let's see. What does the trough look like here? Yep, I bet the HRRR will too, then. You are right. I bet the HRRR will have mixing issues as well. Which, again, known biased. Our cam models are not perfect. So I think we're going to see something in between, at least for Friday. I think we're going to see something in between the NAM and the GFS. Something in between that for your warm sector. I mean, man, even your GFS is better than your wrap model. But even if your dew points are 5 degrees lower, like the wrap has, I mean, shoot, the wrap has even lower than 5 degrees, like 5-10 degrees lower in some spots. We still will have a widespread, very widespread damaging wind threat. I've never been a big fan of the wrap model either, but it's still another tool to the toolbox, right? Still another model run to look at, see another possible scenario. So it's still something I'll look at. Wow. That is up there. Even for the NAM model, that is up there. Jeez. Not sure what that map means. That's wind shear. Wind shear. Gracious day. Look at that. Now, that is a rapidly destabilizing environment right there. Look at that. In just 3 hours. Boom. Boom. Just 3 hour difference. Man. That is crazy. All right. Why y'all going after Rango? What'd he do? Now, don't bully him if he made one small mistake or something. I don't see... What'd he say? Rango, yeah, that's called a blue sky cap bust. For one of your older comments there that I didn't see. I literally don't see anything that he said wrong. But okay. Alright, well, hold on. I do want to nitpick this. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize in advance. But I'm going to do it. 9.9 STP. Give me a sounding. We're doing this for fun, not for actual forecasting purposes. Dang. Your lapse rates are somehow a little on the low end there. Somehow. 5.8. That's actually for an STP of almost 10, that's actually not even that crazy of a sounding. Like, yes, that is the ceiling and type of event we're dealing with, but I was expecting something quite a bit better. Like the 3 capes a little lower than I was expecting. The lapse rates in the surface to 3 kilometer are lower than I was expecting. It's still, I'd still say it's an S tier though. Yeah. I'd still say it's an S tier. It just doesn't favor long tracked tornadoes. You could still see a strong tornado last for a while, but I don't know if you're going to get that long tracked, definition long tracked tornado out of a sounding like that. If we look at lapse rates there. Yeah. Small issue for lapse rates, but anything around or just more than 6 is sufficient here in Dixie Alley. Now, if we were talking planes, we're going to need at least 7. Let's see here. Checking Twitter, seeing if Twitter's panicking yet. Oh, yep, and there's somebody right there. Took like 5 seconds when I opened the app. There's the same tweet again. I might have to... Let's see. Seems like for now on my Twitter feed, I only see one person freaking out about the NAM. Shocker, I thought I'd see at least like 30 of them. Oh my word, Ben, it was faster than fast. The second, the absolute second the GFS came in with a possible higher end environment, right off the bat, people were comparing it to April 27th, 2011. It's been probably 4 days since they've been comparing it now. 3 to 4 days. Before it even went enhanced, I'd say. Like the day before it went enhanced, they were probably starting to compare it. Because when it went enhanced, I saw it. Let's see here. I've worked really hard on cleaning it up, edits. I have. Alright, how's this severe, quote, severe event going? Yeah, not going very well, huh? Not going very well at all. Is there any new model data or anything we're going to get over the next couple hours? I know we got the 00Z GFS at 12:30, but is there something sooner? Curious if there's anything sooner. Jeez. My headset's way too loud. I'm gonna see what Connor's on right now. He's on he's up here in like Jacksonville, Texas. I think he's gonna let the line overtake him. I mean, it's not really doing much. I didn't expect much out of this. Like I said, we could have had up to 2.5, 2.75 inch hail if we had a storm that stayed more discreet, but it looks like this went upscale very quickly. Now, see, it's a bit different, weather on the go. It's a bit different when people are actually showing you like the analog and the progression of it, right? But if somebody on Twitter just goes and types April 27th, 2011 all over again and doesn't say a single reason why or make a reasonable comparison, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. But for instance, if you went for April 27th, 2011 as an analog and looked at the trough progression and reasonably explained why you think or may not think that it's a good or bad analog, that's not as bad. Because our trough is the tiniest bit similar. It is the tiniest bit similar. Now, I can tell you what April 27th, 2011 never had. It was a negatively tilted trough like this on the northern side of the elongated trough. But this part of the trough is somewhat similar. And I've looked at April 27th, 2011 so much. So I can tell you that trough the trough itself is somewhat similar. The progression of the trough is probably not as similar. The thermodynamics and the kinematics aren't even close. The way storms are going to fire is a little similar in terms of the semi-discrete line. However, April 27th, 2011 was most noted for those 2 to 3 very strong confluence bands that set up in front of that relatively semi-discrete line. And that is our question, our big question here. How many confluence bands will we see in front of the line? Are those confluence bands going to be significant enough to actually mature? And of course, another big question is, will overconvection linger too much or be too strong and influence the warm sector? Now, I didn't track April 27th, 2011 personally. I was 6 at the time. Nope, 5. I was 5 at the time, so I did not track it personally. I don't remember anything about it, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure what the question marks were on that day. That's what I've always wondered. Like, what were people saying on April 25th about April 27th, 2011? Like, what were people saying could be the potential underperformance or bust modes? Because I would like to see, like, a video on that 2 days prior before April 27th, 2011. But nope, I don't think it'll be anywhere remotely close to April 27th, 2011. I don't think it will be anywhere remotely close, personally. That's just a storm you're gonna get a storm like that maybe twice a century, right? 2, maybe 3 times a century. That's, if you don't know what a century is, it's 100 years. So 2 or 3 times every 100 years. Let's see here. Okay. Let me go check. Well, I can say confidently, if we don't hit it today, we're gonna hit 8,000 subscribers tomorrow. For sure. We are just 12 shy. Just 12 shy. So if you haven't already, if you want to, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button with a notification bell set to all. It's greatly appreciated. Like I said, we'll be live Friday. Definitely for multiple hours. We'll probably be live for at least 4 hours Friday at the minimum, if not well over that. And then Saturday we'll probably be live for a minimum of 4 hours. Both days have the chance to be 11 near 12-hour live streams. They have the chance for that. It just depends exactly how the events unfold and the timing of the events. For instance, if Saturday ends up firing in the morning, I'm not going to get up at like 3 a.m. to start tracking it, so it would just simply depend. If Friday fires later, say storms start firing at 6, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up till like 5 a.m. Right? So it just depends on when they fire. But I can guarantee both days will have at least a 4-hour live stream or greater. For both of those days. And then tomorrow we'll have probably around a 2+ or so hour briefing at 6 p.m. Eastern time, just like today. You know what? Hold on a second. I was thinking maybe we push the stream maybe an hour or an hour and a half further towards like 7:30, and then we can stream the 0ZH Triple R. What do you guys think? Rendering in. Would you guys rather have me go live sooner with old data or go live, an hour or 2 later and watch the newest data render in? Here, we'll do a poll on it. That way you guys can decide. Stream at 8. Okay. There you go. There's your poll. Vote up. So stream at 6 p.m. Eastern with slightly old data, or stream at 8-ish p.m. with slightly, or rather, completely new data. We'd see it render in live. And they wouldn't affect the timing of the stream. If we go live at 6, we'll probably be live from 6 to about near 9, or 8. Between 8 and 9 is when we'd end. And then if we stream at 8, we'll stream till about 10 or 11. We'll definitely do a 2-hour live stream tomorrow either way. Just because there's going to be a lot of info to talk about. I mean, shoot, our briefings recently have not been briefings. Normally, our briefings are around an hour. Like an hour or just barely over it. Today would be, I don't know when we're ending exactly, but at least 2.5, maybe 3-hour live stream. Yesterday was 3 hours. Day before that, 2 hours. Day before that, 2.5. Day before that, our first briefing on all this, an hour and a half. Wow. Well, looks like around 9-10% of people want a early stream, with about 90 to 91% wanting a slightly later stream. So we'll probably end up doing a slightly later live stream tomorrow. Just so we can get in that absolutely top tier new data. At least for the HRRR. Let's see. It does render in an hour later, though. Oh, crap. That means I'll be live till like 11. Well, we might even do a little later than an 8 p.m. live stream. We'll see. We'll see. It won't start rendering until I think 8:50. So it will be done near... Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. So it will be done probably around 10. I think that's okay. Yeah. We'll go live probably about 8. Yeah. Because that will give us a good solid hour to go over absolutely everything, all the upgrades, downgrades, the model runs, the cams. We'll have a lot of information to get through before the new cams even start rendering. And then it will take an hour for all that to render in. We'll watch them render in, probably frame by frame or so. And then we'll end right after it's done. Because right now, the 23ZH is about around 66% done. Yeah, so the 0Z tonight will render closer to 850. All right, I'm going to do an overview here whilst that poll runs, just for those who may be just now tuning in. So for today, we have a slight risk for severe weather in place from the Storm Prediction Center. We've got that level 1 marginal and the level 2 slight risk for severe weather out of 5. The main threat today will be a brief spin-up tornado, damaging winds around 60 to as high as 70 miles per hour, and then some large hail between 1.5 to as high as 2.5 inch in diameter possible. Currently, the event is underperforming quite substantially. We're really not seeing much of those hazards actually verify. So we're just going to keep watching this line as it moves off to the east-southeast over the next couple hours, and then it's going to begin to die out here in about 3-4 hours very, very rapidly. So the main area for severe weather for the rest of today will end up being right in this region here over the next 3 to 4 hours. If you are behind this area, you are good to go for severe weather. You are all clear. And then if you're north, probably not going to see much severe weather more north either. Even though you're not fully clear from the cold front, no storms are firing up there right now. Tomorrow, we've got a marginal risk for severe weather. We've got a 2% tornado risk out there in southeast Alabama, west central, southwest Georgia, and the extreme panhandle of Florida. Brief tornado can't be ruled out. Damaging winds of around 60 miles per hour, and then some large hail, rather small hail up to an inch in diameter will be possible. And then, of course, we go right on into Friday's threat for severe weather. Huge enhanced risk level 3 out of 5. Huge slight risk level 2 out of 5. And a huge marginal risk level 1 out of 5 for severe weather surrounding that whole area. Inside this hatched area, that's where we have the best chance for significant damaging winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And specifically right in the middle, right in here, we could see an upgrade somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere in here, we could see an upgrade for wind for the potential of up to 90 mile per hour winds tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. The greatest tornado threat will probably be focused on the tail end of that, generally in this vicinity here. Into the late night hours. Then we go into Saturday's threat for severe weather. We've got a huge slight risk level 2 and a huge enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 for severe weather. Probably going to end up with a moderate risk at some point in the southern portion of the U.S. for tornadoes. That maybe as soon as tomorrow we could end up with that day 3 moderate risk, but most likely it will come on the day 2 outlook at some point. And then we'll keep a very close eye on the possibility for a high risk for severe weather. But currently we have a level 2 and a level 3 out of 5 for severe weather for Saturday. Most likely we'll end up with a level 4 over Alabama and Mississippi, maybe even into Louisiana and western Georgia. And then, of course, we could even see the potential for a high risk for severe weather there on Saturday. Main threat with this, especially in that enhanced risk, quite strictly in that enhanced risk for these hazards, you'll see between 60 to 75 mile per hour winds. Large hail of about 1.75 inch in diameter will be possible. And then the biggest threat out of everything will be the chance for multiple long-tracked strong tornadoes. Potentially an intense tornado will be possible as well. So we'll keep a really close eye on Saturday. That's going to be your biggest day for severe weather by a milestone. Then Sunday, that all pushes off to the east. Main threat there will be damaging winds of 60 miles per hour through much of that area. Isolated amounts could get up to 70 miles per hour. We may even see a risk upgrade to an enhanced risk along the coastal areas of Virginia, a good chunk of North Carolina, and into South Carolina for Sunday. But primarily that will be damaging winds. All right, we're near it. We're near it. We are almost within 5. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. 7,994 subscribers. 6 away from 8,000. This will be the first 1,000 milestone subscriber count that we've hit in about 6 months. It's been a while. We've been stuck on 7K for quite a hot minute. Legacy, I had it pulled up for the last like 10 minutes I was watching it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at chat in almost 10 minutes. Right around there. I haven't looked at chat. Well, we started the poll about 9 minutes ago, so I haven't looked in about 5 minutes. So I pulled this up about 5-6 minutes ago. Wow, we are 4 away. Make sure you also hit that notification bell and set it to all after you subscribe. That way you know when I go live. Tomorrow will be a little later live stream. Like I said, probably about 8 p.m. Eastern. So that way we can watch that new data render on in. And yeah. 2 away. 2 away. We are on the edge. After 6 months of trying to get to this next major milestone, we are almost just 2,000 subscribers away from 10,000. We are 1 away from 8,000. Wow. There she is. For the first time in 6 months, we have finally gotten outside of 7,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. 8,000 subscribers now. Wow. That is crazy. 8,000 people have subscribed to this channel. That is really appreciated. Now we got 8,003 subscribers, 8,004. Keeps going up. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support in all the live streams recently. It's been a lot of support over the last week. We've had a lot of support. We went from 7,890 subscribers just 4 days ago to over 8,000. So we've gained about, this week, we have gained over 100 subscribers because of you guys. That is absolutely insanity right there. I'll keep it up. Hopefully it doesn't go beneath 8,000. We'll have to celebrate it again. There's a chance it goes down overnight. And we get beneath 8,000, but we hit 8,000. That's the official mark of it. Well, considering there's 7 subscribers now over 8,000, that gives us some room. I really appreciate it, y'all. Just the support recently has been crazy. Over the last 7 days, I've got the exact statistics. We've gained over 100 subscribers. We've gained over 1,500 watch hours, and we've reached over 12,000 people with the word of severe weather over just the last 7 days alone. And that doesn't even include today because YouTube doesn't render it in until tomorrow for today. So those statistics are even higher. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Also, thank you for over 150 likes on the live stream and over 2,000 views on this live stream as well. That is really, really appreciated. Quick, move it before it goes beneath 8K. I'll do a little longer live stream. We'll just go to 3 hours. I was going to end on you guys quickly here, but I don't want to do it right after we hit the milestone. So we'll go an extra 30 minutes. Let's see. There we go. Close out all these soundings here. I don't think we're going to see any 0Z data rendering here. This is your 23Z HRRR. You can see what the rest of these storms are going to do. Like I said, very low wind threat, damaging winds of 60 miles per hour, and some... I think your hail threat's really very low now, so I don't expect much hail over an inch in diameter. If you haven't voted on that poll, go ahead. We'll end that in 3 minutes. Again, I appreciate all the new subscribers recently. I appreciate every last one of you guys. Finally getting us over that 8,000 mark. Like I said, we got stuck on that for a while because winter's typically slow. My specialty is severe weather. So I really, really appreciate it. That is crazy. Man. Name reveal? It's going to slip out one day. But I try to keep some things hidden. That way you guys can't. That way you don't know absolutely everything about me now. Let's see. What is this? Birmingham AFD. There are 3 windows of opportunity for severe storms over the coming days. Thursday morning, late Saturday night. Wow. That's a big window. That's a big window. I want to see if they mention anything crazy. Okay. I don't see any big flags on this AFD here, or whatever this may be from the National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama. They do note the biggest threat will probably be Saturday, which, no shocker there. Time frame could be between noon to 3 a.m. Noon Saturday to 3 a.m. Sunday for the chance of significant severe weather for Alabama. Central Alabama there. All right, I'll end that poll there. Hey, YouTube, 89 plus 10 does not equal 100. Wait, what? Feel free to read my message to chat. Oh, okay. Like he was texting me about hitting 8,000. I will keep that private so that way you guys will never know what he said. Haha. Whoa. The chat just is screen tearing for me there. That's crazy. All right. I'm not going to do zip codes in this stream. I apologize. We may not even do that tomorrow because we'll be live later. Yesterday was just the stream that I felt like doing a bunch of zip codes. You can get your personal National Weather Service forecast just by looking at the National Weather Service or Storm Prediction Center. Really, the main thing that you always need to check, this the absolute most, the SPC. The SPC is, I'd say, the number one thing you have to check. And then the very close second place is obviously your local National Weather Service. And there you go. Pete just put a link right there. See you later, Jessica Palmer. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for that $10 sticker at the start of the stream. It's greatly appreciated. Let's see here. Yep, I'll do a face reveal at 10K, y'all. 10,000 subscribers, you'll get a face reveal. Totally didn't do that for what, 1K? Totally. It's going to be a bit of a laid back next 20-some minutes, by the way, because we went over everything. I just didn't want to end directly after we hit 8K. We would have, I would have started ending like literally 30 seconds after hitting 8K. Yep, I have a gaming channel. It's just I don't have a lot of time to post on it. I'm not really someone who has a lot of free time anymore. I'm really busy, especially in tornado season. Now that it's tornado season, I'm not sure if I'll have time for the next 3-4 months to play on that or stream on that channel. I mean, weather is my number one passion by a milestone. It's not even close. It's not even remotely close. Lucky, are you stalking chat? I did mods? Did you guys see that previously deleted message? He's here. He's here. Bro. Dude, that's crazy. About time you tuned in, Lucky. Oh, hold on. I gotta mute this. There you go. Well, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna tell you something right now, really quick. Okay, I'm good now, y'all. Sorry. Holy crap. Sorry. I haven't seen you in a long time. Wow. Welcome back. Gracious day. I haven't seen you in forever, V. We just hit 8,000 subscribers literally like 10 minutes ago. Welcome back to the stream. Gracious day. Hey, Nightbot. Oh, no, Nightbot, you're getting a timeout for that. Where's Nightbot? There you are. Nightbot, go in the corner right now. You don't get a timeout, V. Life has been a lot. Yeah. Yep. Why is your mic bad, Lucky? It's terrible. It sounds like you're talking through a Nokia flip phone. Oh, much better. There you go. Bro was talking. Yeah, you're talking to a tiny little microphone, dude. Here, I'll unmute you since you want to do your little speech.
All right.
Say hi to chat. They can hear you too.
Oh, chat. What is up?
I can't believe
How
V
is?
is back in here. I'm just shocked.
I can't believe that either. It's been a minute, honestly. A long
I don't
minute.
think she's been in here in like probably almost like 7 months or so.
But yeah. I just want to say, first off, congrats. It's another big milestone. Definitely another big milestone. An extra 1K.
We're stuck on 7K for 6 months, 7
6
months.
months. We've been talking about. Man, will this thing ever go up?
No, I'm not trying to sound mean, y'all, but actually, like, I was stuck on one subscriber count number. It was like
It was
7,770 or so.
71.
Yeah, it was. It was 71. You're right. Yep.
It
Yep.
was
I was
71.
stuck on that for 30 days straight. That
A
thing
whole
didn't
month.
go up or down for 30 days. It was getting a little rough. But I'm
But
not in it for the subscribers or views, so you know me. I kept
yeah.
streaming every day
Oh yeah,
or
bro kept
however
streaming
often it
every
was
day,
needed.
no matter what. But I want to say, like I said, congrats. I know that means a lot, especially that you were stuck at that number for a whole month.
It does mean a lot. We are just 2,000 away. I know it's a lot still, but
Really think
2,000
about
away
it,
from the big 10K, man. And
yeah,
I still haven't wrapped my head around that one.
yeah,
10,000. We're just 2K away, dude. Right there.
yeah.
It feels like it's a
Um,
second around the corner here. Considering we've gone through 8,000 subscribers and we've got just 2,000 left.
yeah. Yeah, and before you know it, TRG, you're gonna hit 10K before you know it. I honestly think that you're gonna hit it before definitely
We're
before
gonna
like
hit 100K. Ben, you gotta tune that down, buddy.
only 92,000 to go. But yeah,
you
but
gotta
real
you gotta
talk.
tune that down.
Yeah, real talk. I'm genuinely so proud of you. I like I might just say that. You might just think I'm saying that, but I really am proud of you. After everything, just any inconvenience in your ways that come with streaming, making videos, you always find a way to, get some content out. And I'm very glad that I'm a part of this whole journey. I'm
Even though
glad
you may
that
not be there so often now.
yes, not so often now, but that is set to
This
change
dude's been
because
here
I'm.
from what is that? Got a little supercell trying to go up over here in Texas.
Oh, I did see that. What? Hey, quit! Hey, quit it! You're ruining my speech.
Lucky's been here
Yeah,
since not, believe it or not, not day one. We met in a Discord server when I was live streaming. Yes, back in
and
the day, I was live streaming in public Discord servers. What a mistake.
oh yeah, that was wow.
It
Those
wasn't
days,
my Discord
wow.
server, so it wasn't heavily moderated.
Yeah, yeah, that was wow. That was something. Yeah, I remember those days.
But that's how me and Lucky met in a Discord server.
And then I literally, I think the first DM was, "Hey, would you like to call?"
Yep, that was
And then
like the first message.
ever since then, we've both been here, best friends, bros for life.
Hopefully.
And no, not hopefully, we will be. And
Thank you guys for 8,010 subscribers.
yeah, let's go.
We hit a mini milestone. 10 more.
While I'm doing my speech is crazy too. Congrats again. But yeah, I'm so glad to be a part of this journey, be there for you, be there with you. So I'm
Just
so
look
glad
at
we
that.
met.
Look at that graph, chat. This isn't even all. I can't show you all of it. There you go. There's the graph. When I first made my gaming channel, I don't even know if it was made way back here. I guess June 4th, 2020, I made my gaming channel. Didn't upload, started uploading gaming a little bit, once every 6 months to 8 months. And then this is where TRG picked up on weather, right there. Started getting involved in weather big time. What was that? I don't know
I
what
was
day
like,
that was, but something blew up there.
I
August
think
15th.
I
Was
I
that
think
the video?
that was the video. That was the video.
That was the video.
Yep, it was because we both watched it overnight. We both watched it overnight.
How was that almost 3 years ago, Lucky?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's been that long. I don't. Wait, hold on. I'm about to find it. Let's see if it
That
is.
was the day
Videos.
TRG learned what clickbait was and learned what not to be on YouTube.
Yeah, cause
I used a thumbnail that was the GFS 300 hours out. You got to remember, I've literally learned so much about weather along this whole journey. Literally
yeah.
this entire journey, I have learned weather. It's not like I was really interested in weather before YouTube. Weather was something that I was a little interested in because I wanted to know how I didn't get a warning for near 100-mile-an-hour winds. So, that's what interested me the most. And then I went to the Weather Channel. And then I got a little interest, but then just streaming really upped that passion. Just the fact that I could talk to other people who may be interested. And then eventually, right here, once I got to 1,000 subscribers, that's where I realized this could be more than just like a hobby. It could be something that I could actually help people with, like save lives potentially, or help weather anxiety, or just get you guys more weather aware. I'm sorry for the big ramble about this, but about every 1,000 subscribers, this is what we do. We talk about our history. And
Yeah,
as you can see here,
it's not gonna stop.
it was not one video. It was not one video that just put me from 100 subscribers to 8,000 in the matter of 2 days, right?
It took years, years
This
of
was the big video though. August 15th, 2022, with that potential hurricane in the Gulf that
I forgot if it did.
I think it eventually did happen, but it wasn't nearly as potent or as nearly as
Yeah,
strong. I learned so much on that day.
yeah, and
If
yeah.
you want
I
to know
know
how
it's
bad, you guys should go. If you really want to know how I started, I recommend watching one of my first ever weather live streams that I used some weird source. I think it was the Weather Channel and then some other weird site. 4 years ago, that video was uploaded. If you want to check the date on that, Lucky. That was my first proper weather live stream that I thought was really top tier.
August 28th, 2020.
Wow.
It's been almost 5 years.
August 8th, 2020?
28th, 28th, 28th. End of August.
2020.
Yes. 4 years. 4 years ago, buddy.
Dude, I had like 15 subs. August what?
28th, 2020.
I had like 4 subs. 4 subs. Wow. I didn't even know that stream was that long ago.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got
Pretty-
it. I got like 5 subscribers over the course of 3 months, which isn't terrible. Remember,
That's
by the way,
pretty-
most of the live streams before early 2024 have been deleted. It just
Yes.
there was hundreds. I mean, I probably had, if I didn't delete anything, I probably would have had 500 plus live streams available to watch. And then I had also like near 100 videos too. I just went through over the course of these years. I went through and slowly started to delete old streams and old videos, slowly going up. The more we streamed, the more I deleted. And then now I've decided I'm not going to delete anything from here on out.
It's too much work.
It's more of that people like to go back and watch the old streams.
That
And
too.
oh boy, am I glad I did not delete anything after, I think I deleted some before March 20th. But after like March 20th or so, my goodness, I didn't delete anything else. And boy, am I ever glad about that, because we won't see another 2024 for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I'm never gonna delete any streams unless I'm forced to,
Yeah.
or if you
But yeah.
guys want me to, because it could still get more cluttered.
Yeah.
You keep finishing, Lucky. I know I interrupted more.
No, you're good. But I mean, I've basically said everything. But yeah, another thing I'm really glad we met. That's on to the point of that I'm glad to be here on this journey, and me personally, you're just getting started, bro. You have long wa- a long ways to go. I think you're gonna get really, really big one day.
Man,
I
look at
know you will.
2024, man. Started in the middle of the 3000s in 2024, ended with 7,000, almost 700. Look at that turning point. That was the video. That was not the video. That was the live stream where we had like 700 people watching concurrently on May 26th last year. Man. Gracious day. Sorry for the big ramble. If you guys want a weather update, you could go for the first 2.5 hours of this live stream.
Yeah, no worry. I'm about to be done anyways. But
I'm getting close to ending.
Okay.
I'm going on 3 hours for a briefing, bud.
Yeah, I honestly just wanted to call you and congratulate you, man to man. And yeah, you definitely got big things coming your way very soon. And I know it. And again, I'm very proud of you. And yeah, I love you so much, man. And I want you to know that.
Cap.
It might not seem like it sometimes, but I do. I really do. I really do.
10K subs, TRG needs to do a voice reveal. Deal.
Deal.
Deal. You guys heard that right. I go through the effort of covering up my real voice over all these live streams.
Yeah, the voice changer. No. That's okay. That's funny. Hey, next is my turn. No,
Chair reveal? Okay, there you go. There's my chair. Hey! I just realized I just gave a shout out to my chair company. The chair company. You ain't gonna get no real name reveal.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm gonna try my best to hide that the most I can.
And honestly, guys, you're not getting out of me either. It took this dude what 3 years to tell me your real name. 3 years. All right.
Text Lucky that.
But yeah, didn't it take what like 3 years for you to tell me?
I did. Yeah.
It took this dude 3 years to
I
tell me
want to
his
be
real
known
name.
in the community as TRG, okay? I don't want you guys to know me as my real name. I want you to know me as TRG.
Oh, what's Lucky's real name? Lucky.
Lucky calls me TRG.
I called his TRG.
I'm TRG. He's only said my real name like twice in his whole life. In real life, he
Yeah,
calls me TRG. I call him
bro.
Lucky. We don't call each other our real names, okay?
We really
we
don't.
still use our actual channel names.
I just without the tornado and without the weather part.
That would be more cringy. You come up to me, hey
Yes.
TRG Tornado, what's up? I come
Yeah,
up to Lucky, hey
Rango.
Lucky's weather 123, what's up?
No weather forecast. That's the old.
Yes,
That's the
we
old one.
do. In real life, we call each other Lucky and TRG. We don't call each other our real names.
Yes, off stream. Off stream. I promise you.
Off stream, on
I
stream,
have
in real
I have
life, on and off stream, we is always Lucky TRG.
and I have clips of it because remember we do have the small time that we have of gaming. There's got to be a clip somewhere, and yes, I'll be like, hey TRG, look at this.
Exactly. No, it's not tag. That's what
Yeah,
Pez called me. That's what Pez called me.
and
I
then I
just
did it, and then
I
I was like,
despise that dude, but I don't block him because it's still a little fun to talk to him. I'll wait for the day he screws up again, and then I'm just gonna be like, nope.
but
Bro cut off so
yeah,
bad he sounded like just a little audio there.
bro.
Marcus, we were 2 miles from one, if that. If there were no trees, we would have seen a big stovepipe. Me and
Guys,
Lucky were right there. I mean, we could see the rotation over the trees, the like the base of the wall cloud, but it was deep into the forest. Deep into the forest of North Carolina.
yeah. But guys, don't worry. We're getting one this year. Hope y'all know, and we will be live streaming it. Hopefully, it's in the middle of a field though. That would be nice.
In the middle of a field in the plains.
In the plains, yeah.
Because North Carolina, Virginia, the thing is, I don't have another device yet, and cellular data out here is terrible. So we've got to find a way, probably by contacting Connor or some other chaser out there, on how we can get better cell reception. I've thought about this. I've thought of a way to get, like just my computer runs the live stream, but that's impossible without someone else running it. I was
That thing that we
thinking
talked about
Lucky
off
could
stream.
try to remote control my computer,
That's the thing that we tried to talk about once, but you know,
but I would
it's in the work in
oh hey,
progress,
finally
y'all.
a severe.
It's a work in progress, y'all.
And plus there's not many days that I would be able to chase that Lucky wouldn't chase.
Yeah, if TRG chases, there's a very high chance that I'm chasing too.
And there's also not many days where I'm going to chase where Lucky's not going to be busy or doing something.
Yeah.
So we'll eventually find something. I know we will. And if not, hey, at least we're going to record it for you and you're going to see it with us, right? It may not be fully live, but at least with the first tornado that me and Lucky see, you're going to be able to see it one way or another.
Yeah.
Because you can bet when I get a tornado, I ain't going to be hiding it from you guys.
I'm not either.
I'm going to be making a full-on documentary about how I got a tornado or something. Lead it up. I really want to see a tornado because I want to make a video about storm chasing. Making storm chasing videos are so fun. They're really fun. I've made one, which is with Lucky. I want to go back and rewatch that. Actually, no, I've made two. I've made my first wall cloud video, and then I made my power flash video, and now we got to make... Oh, wow. I've literally documented my whole entire chasing. First wall cloud, first power flash, and now we're going to see first tornado.
And you had golf ball size hill one time.
Yep, I did. I didn't make a video off of that one, but it was live streamed.
You might have deleted that one. I don't know.
I believe you were streaming, if I'm not mistaken. You were streaming, and you were streaming on my channel, and we were on Discord.
Yep. And y'all, yes, I have streamed on TRG's channel before.
He used to do it a little bit frequently, but now he's stopped. He can't keep up with my schedule.
Yeah, no, I can't. Not right now, at least. I mean, y'all. If y'all don't know, I am graduating this June.
Yay!
So
then he's gonna go to college and leave us forever.
I'm taking I will not be going to college until next January.
We got to see a tornado before then.
So from June all the way to January, I'm not gonna say I won't be free, but I'll still be working. But I will, like I said, actually I'm not gonna say it, bro.
Don't
But
make any promises,
I'm
mister.
not. I'm not. Well, okay. Well,
Today.
today that was probably a really good excuse. It wasn't even an excuse, honestly.
I mean, you sound pretty okay to me right now, right? Right, chat? Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, it's because I can't even congratulate
Got
you
him.
without bro trying to make me stream. It's a school night, bro.
We got to get you to 10K before 2026.
That's not possible. Oh wait, no. For you?
No, you.
Oh, that's not possible. It really isn't. It's not possible. It's not possible.
9,500 subscribers in 9 months.
Not even like 3 videos and 4 live streams a day would do that.
All you gotta do is get lucky, man. Sometimes all you gotta do is get lucky, and it's in your name.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
I mean, he could blow up tomorrow. You never know. Exactly.
Yeah, it could.
But he won't.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry. He could, but he won't.
My spring break started. No, it starts end of March. No, I go back the 7th of April.
Are you gonna be able to cover Friday? You told me you would be able to.
Oh, I'm not making promises.
But
I do remember
you promised daily live streams a while ago.
You're right.
That already went out the window, y'all. Already went out the window. He did one stream. Now he's done.
No, I'm not. I could not stream
today's a day though, and you're not going to stream on this day, so technically you've already failed.
I mean, does it count by a 2-second live stream?
I don't know. I guess.
Okay, I can click the live button and end it.
Friday's the 14th.
Is it a wait? Okay, wait.
It's more of a evening and night threat.
Okay, you're gonna give me like 30 seconds, and I can get you your answer.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be ending in a minute.
All right. Yep, I got you. Yep, I can.
That's not 30 seconds, bud.
I can.
You know what? How about this? Go, Lucky. Do it.
Really?
Yeah. If you know,
guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, please like and subscribe. Turn the post notification bell on so you do get notified when TRG goes live or makes a video. And please share this channel with your friends and family so we can get the word out to people. Let's let them know what weather's coming their way. And please join the Discord server if it's still the same layout. Second link in the description. It's a very fun server, a lot of cool members, a lot of active members. You always have someone to talk to. And if you ever want to find
5 seconds.
TRG outside of stream, that's the best place to do so. And yeah, I think that's beautiful. Goodbye, chat. I love y'all.
Thank you guys for 8,000 subscribers. Mods, thank you for on chat. Thank you everybody for the donations. I'll catch you guys at tomorrow's live stream a little bit later, around 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe, watch the weather. Goodbye.
See you later, brothers.
Stay safe. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Thank you, Jessica, Matthew, and Girl Deb for the super chats. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Thank you much for watching.